Board meeting will begin in 2 minutes. The school board meeting will begin in 1 minute. Please take your seats. Again, the school board meeting will begin in 1 minute.
Good, happy Valentine's Day Eve, everyone. The February 13th, 2024 meeting of the Marion County School Board is called to order. Mirroring and modeling the way our students begin each day, I ask that we observe a moment of silence at this time. Please join me. Thank you. I'll now read our board commitment statement. We are the Marion County School District Leadership Team. When we come together to work, we are efficient, effective, and productive. Our three most important characteristics are dedicated, transparent, and individually responsible. To work well together, we must demonstrate respect, confront reality, and be accountable. We will always put students first, and we will leave a legacy of success. For the courtesy of those listening to the meeting, I am requesting everyone in the audience to please remember to turn off your electronic devices or put them on vibrate. Later in the meeting, up to 30 minutes will be provided for individuals to address the board on matters concerning the operation of the Marion County school system or the school board only. Presentations to the board are limited to 5 minutes and are televised. If you wish to address the board regarding a regular agenda item or matters on which the board customarily takes action, you must first complete a peach-colored form located in the lobby. If you wish to address the board regarding a public hearing or a student discipline matter, please complete a lime green form. These forms must be fully completed and received by the board clerk no later than 5:40 p.m. The procedures applicable for which are on a separate sheet. Board Clerk, please call the roll.
Dr. Allison Campbell, District 1.
Here.
Mrs. Lori Conrad, District 2.
Here.
Mr. Eric Cummings, District 3. Here. Mrs. Nancy Thrower, District 4.
Here.
Dr. Sarah James, District 5.
Here.
Student Board Member Blake Barnes from Forest High School.
Here.
Student Board Member Davia Nandor from Vanguard High School. Here. Dr. Diane Gullett, Superintendent.
Here.
Mr. Jeremy Powers, School Board Attorney.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Good evening, Dr. Gullett. If you would please introduce the member of your team who will be helping us with tonight's inspiration and pledge.
My pleasure. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Kathy Oddie, who's going to come forward, and she's going to introduce some very special guests who are going to lead us in the inspiration and pledge. And I'm going to say a few words about a very special event that happens in this community each year, the Southeastern Youth Fair, and also in celebration of CTE Month. So thank you, Ms. Oddie.
Good evening, Chair Thrower, Vice Chair Conrad, board members, and Superintendent Gullett. We're very excited this month to be celebrating CTE Month. We offer over 40 different CTE pathways at the middle school and high school level, with over 14,000 students enrolled in those programs. Last year, some of those students earned 1,600 CAPE-recognized industry certifications, and those numbers continue to grow every year thanks to our amazing teachers. Also, during the month of February, as she said, is the Southeastern Youth Fair. This is actually the 84th year of the Youth Fair. In your mailboxes, you each have a program of the fair and a calendar of events, so we'd love to see you out there. Tonight we have two students who will be speaking on behalf of the Youth Fair and CTE Month. First is Mackenzie Robbins, a senior from Bellevue High School.
Thank you. Evening, young lady.
Good evening. Can I move this? Good evening. My name is Mackenzie Robbins, and like she said, I'm serving as the District 5 FFA Secretary, and I'm a senior at Bellevue High School. I've been involved in the agriculture program for the past 4 years. I'm honored to speak to you tonight on behalf of our career and technical education programs. CTE programs provide amazing opportunities for students, such as myself, in various high schools and middle schools across the district. Career and technical education programs offer benefits to our students, which include practical skills that are valuable in the workplace, earning certifications, and developing leadership skills. CTE programs such as agriculture, culinary arts, health, and robotics provide students with interactive learning opportunities inside the classroom and beyond. Furthermore, students are able to develop and explore passions and career areas they are interested in before they enter the workforce. This makes them a very valuable asset to potential employers. Many students, especially in advanced levels, are able to earn industry certifications that can boost their resume and allow them to enter the workforce directly out of high school. Being in the animal science program at Bellevue has allowed me to build on my knowledge by earning an agriculture associate certification and animal science certification. Many CTE programs also have student organizations such as clubs such as Skills USA, HOSO, Robotics, and FFA. Just last week, I was here with FFA members competing in the Parliamentary Procedure Career Development event. Our team won first place, and we will compete at State Convention in June. I have been able to grow as a leader and have developed a greater understanding for agriculture industry through FFA and CTE programs. I've networked with many community leaders and made lifelong friendships through FFA. CTE programs throughout Marion County allow all of our students to experience these opportunities. What I have learned from the CTE program has influenced my future career choices. I will be attending Florida Gulf Coast University in the fall, majoring political science and English on a pre-law track. I would not have decided to become a lawyer without my involvement in agriculture and FFA. This is because of the leadership skills I have developed by serving the FFA organization as an officer. I have developed my love for public speaking and parliamentary procedure. I love to advocate for the agriculture industry and hope to do this one day as a lawyer. I have not decided on exactly what type of law I want to study, but I know I'll be more successful because of my involvement in FFA and CTE programs.
Wow.
Once again, on behalf of Marion County CTE program students, we would like to thank you for your continued support of these programs and the opportunities they provide our students. I truly appreciate the opportunities to speak with you, each of you tonight. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce Reagan Rowe, a junior at Bellevue High School.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Rowe.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today to speak on the Southeastern Youth Fair. My name is Reagan Rowe, and as she said, I am a junior at Bellevue High School. I am currently serving as the District 5 FFA President, and I'm here tonight representing both FFA and 4-H members across Marion County. My time showing at the Southeastern Youth Fair started around 12 years ago when I entered the Kitty Goat Show. Since then, I have looked forward to the Southeastern Youth Fair as one of my favorite weeks of the year. Over the years, I have pushed myself to participate in contests outside of my comfort zone, such as tractor driving and the swine show. These experiences have made me a more well-rounded person, and I think many other students can say the same. The SEYF has played a significant role in my life and who I am today. Next week, the 2024 SEYF will kick off. In just 10 days, 863 exhibitors will proudly display a total of 2,904 entries. While those numbers are impressive, what I wish I really could count are the numbers of memories made and lessons learned. Contrary to popular belief, the opportunities of the Southeastern Youth Fair are not just limited to livestock. I am a firm believer that there is something at the Southeastern Youth Fair for everyone. Horticulture exhibitions, Farm Bureau speech contest, home arts, photography, barbecue contest, Watch Me Grow, and the horse show, just to name a few. There are also volunteer opportunities for students. Ambassadors help the fair run smoothly from day to day, and others assist with ag ventures. Throughout February 27th, 29th, and March 1st, over 1,000 Marion County public students that are second graders will have a first-hand look at Florida's major agriculture commodities during the Marion County Farm Bureau Ag Ventures program. Students and teachers will explore interactive exhibits and attend hands-on workshops as part of the event and the tour. I sincerely hope that you will consider attending our Southeastern Youth Fair. This is an opportunity to watch the youth of Marion County show off their projects that they have worked so hard on. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you soon. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Ms. Rowe, before you step away, we want to come down and get a picture with all of you and your FFA members. And also, just quickly, on behalf of the Marion County School Board, thank you for representing your families and yourselves and your chapters and your schools so well. 84 years is a long time to have such an amazing organization as part of our school system. And I was in 4-H, and for me it was all about horses, 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 and look where I am now. So you never know where life's going to take you. But congratulations to all of you, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the Southeastern Youth Fair. And maybe one of these days when you come back, you can bring some rabbits or something so that we can pet them.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
all right,
you
let's
all
get a
very
picture.
much.
Speakers than most people.
I've taught you well. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, couple more. One more.
Okay, that was awesome. Dr. Gullett, I understand we have 2 recognitions as well this evening. If you would please introduce the member of your team who will be helping us with the first recognition.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm pleased to have Dr. Livingood come forward with first group of amazing students that we'll recognize tonight, Sunshine State Scholars. So thank you, Dr. Livingood.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Chair Thrower, board members, our student representatives, and Dr. Gullett. I have the privilege of introducing our secondary coordinator, secondary curriculum coordinator, and this is Dr. Tiffany Robinson, and she will share information about our 2024 Sunshine State Scholars.
Good evening.
Dr. Livingood. Good afternoon, Chair Thrower, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Gullett. I want to begin by saying, and I say this with conviction and firm conviction, we have phenomenal students in Marion County. And it is my pleasure to introduce 4 outstanding individuals who submitted criteria for Sunshine State Scholar. Before introducing these individuals, let me describe the qualifications for such a distinguished honor. For a junior student to be considered, they must have expressed an interest in STEM-related studies, with participation in STEM-related activities or competitions. They must have a weighted GPA of 3.9 or higher, write an essay outlining one of the most significant challenges America faces in the area of STEM. They must interview before a panel of STEM-related business members within our community, which some of those members are here tonight. They must have taken advanced courses and scored well on state and national assessments. The students recognized tonight have achieved beyond these requirements, and it is an honor to acknowledge them this evening. Our first candidate, Polina Tatkova, who couldn't be here tonight, attends Forest High School and plans to apply to medical school. Her school day is often extended as she is a member of National Honor Society, HOSA, and academic team. In her leisure, she plays piano, violin, cello, and is a member of the Ocala Youth Symphony Orchestra. Our second candidate, Mr. Sanjay Karthik, is in the IB Diploma program at Vanguard High School, focusing on chemistry and physics. I do want to say last week, Sanjay submitted a chemistry-based entry for the International Science and Engineer Fair. He is an executive officer and national marksmanship competitor for ROTC. Sanjay is also vice president of Vanguard's academic team and plans to pursue post-secondary studies in aerospace engineering. Our third candidate, Ms. Marion Walewa, who attends Lake River High School, couldn't be here tonight, but would like to acknowledge Principal Wade for attending on her behalf. Maria enjoys reading, gardening, and playing the guitar. On top of keeping up with her academic studies, she is actively involved in several extracurricular activities, such as flag football, golf, and weightlifting. Her post-secondary aspirations is to go to UF and get a master's in urban planning. Last but not least, our fourth candidate, Mr. Carson Vanderson, attends Bellevue High School and plans to major in either chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, or engineering physics. He is president of the Robotics Club, treasurer of SGA, and captain of the varsity tennis team. You can find Carson volunteering at robotics camps, tutoring, playing pickleball, or tinkering with computer coding in his spare time. The 2 candidates selected to represent Marion County Public Schools as Sunshine State Scholars are Mr. Sanjay Karthik and Mr. Carson Vanderson. I do also want to acknowledge that Ms. Maria Walewa her name has also been submitted as an alternate scholar. These scholars will be recognized during a 2-day program in Orlando from May 2nd to May 3rd for their academic accomplishments. We ask that you please give them another round of applause, as we know they will represent Marion County well. you for your time.
That is really, really awesome. And congratulations on behalf of the Marion County School Board for all you have accomplished so far and all that we have no doubts you are going to continue to accomplish as you go through life. Anyone that plays pickleball has a competitive spirit, so maybe one day I'll see you on the court. But truly, I think that you give us the opportunity to just exemplify and amplify the opportunities we have here in Marion County Public Schools. So it's all about partnering together and helping kids live their best school life. So thank you again for being able to be here tonight, and we sure understand the ones that couldn't, and we'd love to come down and take a picture with you, and so we will. Thanks.
I'm going to get him a new printer.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you.
Well, I just find like if I get out of the habit, it's really hard to get back into it. I keep thinking I'm further over.
And you've been so gracious, 'cause I don't even know when I come in and where you're going.
I don't know. I'm gonna go wherever my
Just make sure you have candy.
There you go. What? That's the least of my worries today, Eric.
That'd be the big thing.
Okay. And I think we have another recognition, right, Dr. Gullett?
We do, Madam Chair. We have 2 more recognitions, so get ready. So Ms. Kelly Brower will come forward, and she is going to introduce our Beanstack Reading Challenge winners. So it's a very unique name, and I think you're going to like what you hear. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Broward.
Good evening, Chair Thrower, board members, Superintendent Dr. Gullett. I'm super excited to share some great news about a new program that we purchased this year called Beanstack for all of our schools within the district. This program is the leading solution for motivating students to read, something very close and near to my heart. So Beanstack allows individual schools to grow their reading culture. It encourages healthy reading habits and literacy skills. This program motivates students to read books in their classroom library, and it fosters teacher-media specialist collaboration. We launched the program in October, pretty much late October, and students and teachers have read and logged just over 2.1 million minutes. Very impressive. November 8th, 2023, we ran a Beanstack kickoff event. Students and teachers were encouraged to log their reading minutes in Beanstack from November 8th through January 3rd, 2024. The schools with the highest percentage of active students logging their reading minutes in Beanstack would receive additional funds to purchase books for their media center. Teachers who were modeling to students the importance of reading by logging their personal reading minutes were eligible to win a prize as well. The students, the top 250, we had well over 10,000 students who logged them minutes, but the top 250 won tokens for our book vending machine that we keep at the Discovery Center. On January 20th, we celebrated with the students at the center. Those tokens are good from any time here on out, and the students can go over and select any book that they would like. The book vending machine was purchased by the Marion County Literacy Committee that's chaired by our Principal of the Year, Ms. Sino. Additionally, the Discovery Center graciously donated free admission for the day to each winning student and one adult companion. It was the first day of their new exhibit of the turtles, and it was a really exciting day to be there. Tonight, we would like to award the teachers who read and logged the most minutes in Beanstack. Please join me here at the podium with your principal as I call out your name. At the elementary level, the winning teacher was Zara Turner from Harborview Elementary School. Ms. Turner logged 18,360 minutes of reading. Principal Baxley is here this evening to accept on Ms. Turner's behalf. At the middle school level, we want to recognize Ms. Lenore Ellsworth from Lakeware Middle School. Ms. Ellsworth logged 3,705 minutes of reading. Our winning teacher at the high school level was Ms. Ashley Wands from Westport High School. Ms. Wands logged 8,473 minutes. Fantastic job. The schools with the highest percentage of active students logging their reading in Beanstack were Spar Elementary School with 91.3% of all of their students logging in Beanstack, brand new program. So I'd like to recognize Principal Johnson and Mr. Hartley, the media specialist. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! The winning middle school with 70.81% of their students logging minutes in Beanstack was Hillcrest. I would like to recognize Ms. Shank, the media specialist. The winning high school with the highest percentage of students logging their reading minutes in Beanstack was Forest High School. I would like to recognize Assistant Principal Willis and Ms. Pollers, the media specialist. Each.
We're already clapping.
Altogether, we awarded 9 schools, first, second, and third place. First place schools have won an additional $1,000 to purchase additional titles for their media center collection.
That is woohoo! Yes.
A lot of money. Lastly, while we do not have all 250 of our student winners here tonight, I wish we could have, I would like to invite Ms. Sino, principal of Ocala Springs Elementary School, to introduce 2 of her students to say a quick word about reading and Beanstack. Thank you, Ms. Sino.
Good evening.
Good evening. So we were very lucky on the Literacy Committee to receive a grant from the pilot companies, and I have my assistant principal here, Ms. Hall, and I have my 2 students, Navard and Ethan. You guys want to come up? And so we were able to purchase the vending machine, and the Discovery Center was gracious enough to house it for us. And so we had the great event with Beanstack, and these 2 fine scholars both earned coins to spend in the machine, and they're just going to tell you a little bit about Beanstack and the importance of reading.
All right. Good evening, young sirs.
You guys can do it.
My name is Ethan, and I'm in 4th grade, a student in Ocala Springs Elementary School. I'm here to talk about how Beanstack and reading have changed my life. Reading has helped me throughout my life because it helps me through fluency it helps me gain more interest in more new activities and helps me learn new things throughout the world. My experience was quite challenging at first. I never knew what to do, but I got it down after I found out how to use the app. Soon I was able to use the app without any worries. I'm here to talk about this because I won the challenge, well, one of them, and I'm here to talk about why reading and my experience was important to my challenge. Good job.
Hello, my name is Nivard Paul Matin. I am in 5th grade. I am in Ocala Springs Elementary. Reading is important because it can really enhance your critical thinking skills and your problem-solving skills. Like, if my mom needs help with something, then I immediately know the answer to her problem.
Immediately.
And I'm pretty sure that's because of my reading. And I absolutely loved logging my minutes into Beanstack because I love reading and I could win a prize for it. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Awesome.
And that's it for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Broward, and don't go away because we sure are going to come down and take a picture with you. And again, on behalf of our school board, just wanted to say congratulations to the winners. And Beanstack may be like a weird name for a reading program, but evidently it has grown deep roots already in our district. And I love so many things about it. Elementary, middle, high. There's obviously an inclusion piece to this that is huge. Congratulations to Hillcrest School for winning for middle school. That's amazing. I don't think in all my years with the system I've ever really witnessed anything like this as far as such a great all-encompassing reading program. So thank you for bringing it to the district, Dr. Gullett and your team, and we'll come down and take a picture.
Everybody just scooch in a little bit. You're fine where you are, just scooch in. There you go. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, couple more. Good.
There's only 4 speakers though. What?
Sorry. All right. My goodness, those were some really great Cloud9 moments. Wonderful way to start our school board meeting tonight. And we're going to go ahead and move on to, we have one more. We have one more.
One more. I know it's been an exciting Night of recognition. So our very own East Marion principal, I'm going to have her come forward, Miss Sarah Dobbs, with some special information to share and a special partnership. Thank you.
So much District 5
Making them come.
Hi, Ms. Dobbs.
Hello, good evening, Chair Thrower, Vice Chair Conrad, Dr. Gullett, and board members. I'm joined by Wes Herron and Cheryl Teesh. Wes Herron is with His Compassion, and I just wanted to take some time to acknowledge all that His Compassion and his team, the cheer squad back there, have done for East Marion. Because of His Compassion and the partnership that we've been able to establish, we have been able to start our Bobcat Den, aside from funding, with donations from His Compassion, which means we've had hygiene products, undergarments, everything that just families need to get through the day. We've been able to call upon them when we need just a morale boost and something to spoil our staff and teachers. We've been able to reach out for incentives for attendance, for, again, both staff, students, our families. When we're trying to partner and broker some needs, we've been able to reach out to Wes and his team. And with that, we've established what we call at East Marion Fab Fridays. So it's just a morale booster of our students, our staff. Our ROAR store, so our PBIS store, is basically filled with all of the things from His Compassion. So I'm going to ask Wes to speak for just a moment. I told him no, but so you can understand what the not-for-profit looks like and the purpose.
Thank you. So glad to have you. Good evening.
Thank you. I really had nothing prepared because she told me I wasn't speaking. Well, we provide over 21 million pounds of food to Marion County each year for free. Everybody you see there is a volunteer. We have over 100 volunteers. They work hard starting at 2:30 a.m. Our first truck was 2:30 this morning. We put out about 3 semi-loads of product today to the community. It's valued at about $61 million a year when you use the USDA numbers. So we're very proud of that. We're very proud of our crew. We're very proud of serving the school board, and we serve the Rock that's also serving the community. We provide them with food and products. We provide food and products to 153 agencies in Marion County, Boys and Girls Club, you name it, we provide it. We do it for free every day with this representative crew. They just rock. And we have our board president, Pastor Rocky. We have a 9-member board that makes a lot of decisions on where we can spend the money each month. And Pastor Rocky, you want to say hey? Rocky Schrabel. And I guess that's about it. We were very proud to answer the call. We first called, I forget who we called you.
Called her.
Cheryl, she's also out there as well. And we said, how much do you need? And she says, well, I don't know, let me call the county. And then the county said, well, I think you said we need 67,000 tins of popcorn for Christmas.
Basically.
So I said, wow, when do y'all get out of school? She said, next Tuesday. I said, okay. So within 3 days, we provided every school in Marion County with popcorn. So, but we do that every day. That's nothing unique to what we do. So we're proud of what we do, and we just thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Gosh.
Oh, I just want to say one more thing. We aren't just food. We receive semi-loads of donated CVS products that we provide the feminine hygiene products for all the schools if they want them. Anything for any of the programs, we get it.
Yep. That is just absolutely amazing. Just amazing. And thank you, Principal Dobbs, for bringing this to our attention so that we have the opportunity as a school board to just thank you in person and your board and your volunteers. It really is incomprehensible the amount of work that comes out from your size organization and the difference that you're making. I know resources are sparse, especially, out in the East Marion area once you get across that bridge. So what you're doing is life-sustaining and life-changing. So we'll be very proud to come down and take a quick picture with you. Thank you for all you do.
And can all of you guys come?
Oh, yes, everybody.
The whole His Compassion team.
Yes, you may sit in the back, but now you need to come to the front, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is great.
I was going to $15,000 worth of goods.
I wanted to say that.
Yep.
get in the back.
All right, Ellie, you're gonna stand in front of me.
Y'all make my job really challenging. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, couple more. And good to go. Thank you.
No, if this was a toll road, we'd have a.
It is.
No, you're not collecting fees. You're not. I told her we're cutting down $1 each. I know. Already.
Oh, supplement.
Okay, well, we certainly have been filled with fantastic Cloud 9 moments tonight so far, so let's just keep it going, and we will move on to recognizing a few donations at this time. We'd like to recognize the donations the district has received of $2,500 to Marion County Public Schools to benefit the UCF NASA Minority University Research Education Program, and also $1,000 to Vanguard High School to benefit the soccer program for expenses and incentives. The total value of tonight's donations are $3,500, and thank you always to our generous supporters for everything that you do to help support our mission of helping each and every student succeed. Dr. Gullett, would you please make a recommendation on tonight's school board meeting agenda?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. I recommend approval of the agenda for the February 13th, 2024 school board meeting with the materials in the board packet, those materials distributed to board members at the meeting, and the audio recording included as part of the official record of the meeting with exception of the following items: D19.1, D19.2, D19.3, D19.4, D19.5, D19.6, D19.7, D19.8, D19.9, D19.10, D19.11, D19.12, D19.13, and D19.14 that have been placed under discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. May I have a motion on the superintendent's recommendation?
So move.
Moved by Board Member Cummings. Second. Second by Vice Chair Conrad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the January 9th, 2024 school board meeting?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Board Member Campbell.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the January 23rd, 2024 school board meeting? Motion by Board Member Cummings.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Ms. Martinez, would you please provide the proof of publication for tonight's school board meeting?
The notice for the February 13th, 2024 board meeting ran in the Ocala Gazette on February 2nd, 2024. The proof of publication has been attached in board docs under proof of publication.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. I will now ask the school board's attorney to explain the rules governing persons who wish to address the school board this evening. Good evening, Attorney Powers.
In compliance with Section 286.0114 of Florida statutes, the school board has adopted uniform procedures for public speakers who wish to speak at this evening's meeting, either regarding one of today's agenda items or a matter relating to the operations of the school district. These procedures will ensure the public has a reasonable opportunity to be heard on school district and school board matters. A written summary of these procedures are available on the table in the lobby. Public speaker forms are also located on the same table. The completed forms were due to the school board's clerk no later than 5:40 p.m. This evening, speakers will be called prior to the business portion of the school board meeting in the order of receipt by the school board clerk. Before you begin speaking, please state your full name for the record and spell your last name. Each speaker will have 5 minutes of time. However, if there are more than 5 persons who wish to speak, the board may seek consensus to limit each speaker's time to 3 minutes. When the speaker has 1 minute remaining, the speaker will receive a visual notice to complete his or her comments. Speakers may not yield their time to other people. Speakers and meeting attendees are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful manner. Therefore, verbal attacks and profanity are strictly prohibited. Pursuant to the procedures for public comments, item 6, speakers are not to identify specific individuals other than themselves or their child unless a statement is provided 24 hours in advance. The board is here to listen to your comments only. You may be directed to an administrative staff member following the conclusion of your comments for further assistance to address any concerns. If there are matters dealing with student discipline, including expulsions, they will be scheduled at the conclusion of the televised portion of this meeting. Parents may address the board regarding a discipline matter at that time. To ensure student privacy, only a parent or guardian may use the student's first or last name. Identifying references to or identification of other students or their families are also strictly prohibited. A speaker's speech does not reflect the endorsement, sponsorship, position, or expression of the school district. Thank you for your attention to the board's requirements. Madam Chair, that concludes my explanatory remarks.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Ms. Martinez, do we have any speakers this evening?
We have 4 speakers, Madam Chair.
4 speakers, okay.
Ms. Lindsay Bigelow.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Bigelow.
Good evening, Lindsay Bigelow. Last name is Bigelow. Good evening, Dr. Gullett, Chair Thrower, Vice Chair Conrad, Dr. Campbell, Dr. James, Reverend Cummings, Attorney Powers, and Ms. Martinez Lopez, as well as our student school board members. I stand here tonight as a proud 8th Street Eagle. I'm here to express my deep concern with the proposed plan to merge 8th Street Elementary and Osceola Middle School into a pre-K-8 school. I feel the proposed new school would be a disservice to our current students and future students to come. We have worked incredibly hard to earn and maintain an A school grade, and we feel the answers to the questions of why are we doing this, and especially why now and so quickly, have not been adequately addressed. There are so many things that need to be considered in making this decision, with just a few being timeline, the staff, academics, and safety. First, the timeline. Why is this proposal happening so quickly? It has been stated that discussions over merging the schools have been in the works for years. So my question is, why now? There are reasons it has not happened in the past. I would be interested in knowing what they were and if they are being considered now. The timing of the recent discussions of school start times and this proposal do not seem to be an accident. In fact, it looks as if this is being proposed in order to solve that problem. As adults, our students should come before our convenience. Next, the staff. Asking one principal to lead a pre-K-8 school is unfair. I feel we would not see our principal as much as we would need them. Yes, there are schools with more students than this proposed school would have, but there are varying needs at the pre-K-8 level that are not middle or high school level issues, and one principal would be stretched thin. Would elementary paraprofessionals or support staff be asked to cover in the middle school level or vice versa? Teachers and staff trained in one area may not be comfortable in another. What if we lose some of our veteran teachers and staff over this? Third, academics. The proposed change is all about the opportunity for acceleration. I feel confident that our teachers are already working tirelessly to do this. Is acceleration developmentally appropriate? Age-appropriate acceleration can be accomplished without merging the 2 schools. What about those students not zoned for 8th Street? Will they be given these same acceleration opportunities? There are many other academic issues with this proposal. Finally, safety, the #1 priority in our schools. Keep students safe and then they can learn. How is it appropriate for our kindergarten students to ride with 8th graders? Arrival and dismissal for 1,300 kids within one city block on a campus with multiple entrances and exits is setting up for a large safety problem. From what I have gathered in the last week, there are more questions than answers, but yet a very quick timeline that this is expected to be done in.
I'm saddened at the thought that a school rooted in traditions and rich history is going to potentially change in the blink of an eye. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Bigelow.
Miss Amanda Esquivel.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Amanda Esquivel, Esquuivel. Good evening, Chair Thrower, Vice Chair Conrad, members of the school board, and Dr. Gullett. Like I said earlier, my name is Amanda Esquivel, and I proudly serve as the school counselor at 8th Street Elementary for all students pre-K through 5th grade. I am here today to also discuss the proposal to merge both 8th Street and Osceola Middle into one pre-K 8 school, and I will piggyback on some of the ideas that my colleague, Ms. Bigelow, already mentioned. I understand that there is a SAC meeting scheduled for Thursday, but I feel it is important to speak tonight to reach out to those that are unable to attend and future parents who could be impacted by this change. We all know that 8th Street and Osceola carry long-standing traditions, but in true school counselor fashion, the points I want to make relate to the safety and the well-being of our students at both schools. So we heard about this possible merger just a short week ago, and we are very confused at the time once again. As a parent of a current Osceola student, I understand that the new proposed time is a shock to those who have gotten used to the current time of 7:45, myself included, but I refuse to believe that cutting an administrator and completely erasing the identity of two high-performing schools is worth having a combined start time. Middle school is but a short season in all of our lives. We've made it through, and they will also. And if the time changes to 9:20, I believe families will adapt, just as those in the rest of the county have. I think it's important to note that the state has not even given their input on what a K-8 school start time should be, and both schools could potentially be starting at 9:20 if this merge is approved. Again, how can we justify having students as young as 4 start school at 9:20? There is ample research supporting later start times for those students enrolled in the secondary setting. However, none of that research states elementary students experience the same benefits. I also understand that if the merger happens, students in grades K-8 will be riding the same buses together. And I know that this happens in Marion County already, but that doesn't make it right or safe for our young students who are very impressionable at this time. Have you once again considered the safety and logistical implications of having over 1,000 students arrive and leave campus when our car line exists on city streets? We have no holding area for these students. Another point was the idea of acceleration in specific subjects. Who is to say we are not already accelerating those students who we feel are ready to work above and beyond their grade level? We were told other schools were already implementing acceleration in Marion County, so it proves that acceleration can happen without combining the two schools. 8th Street prides itself on high student performance, and we can and will continue pushing our students to their highest developmental potential. You say you will keep the same staff if we merge, but we know that that is simply a short-term decision. What will our combined numbers mean for future job positions? Will instructional and support staff be pulled from their daily duties from one campus to support another? I don't feel that we can safely say all student needs will be met, and that worries me. The truth is we will never fully become a K-8 school, even if that is what is decided on paper, because other elementary schools feed in to Osceola Middle. 8th Street contributes less than 20% of the new 6th grade population at Osceola each year. If we merge, do our students have an advantage over those other students in Marion County who may not have an acceleration model? And how do those parents feel about that? This proposal seems altogether rushed without fully considering alternatives. In closing, I want to say that I am a proud parent of a current Osceola student and also a parent of an 8th Street student, but I am also a proud employee of 8th Street Elementary. I will continue to advocate for the success and well-being of the students enrolled and for the continued success of our school as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Squivel.
Mr. Mark Sapp.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mark Edward Sapp, SAPP. Honorable Chair, honorable members of the board, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you. It's not often that we come down to grace you with our presence. We know you have a lot to do and you take the minutes that are necessary to listen to us. It looks like your hands are being tied on the state level with HB 733. They're telling you what time your schools must start and stop. Looking at that and just glossing over it from a layman's perspective, it doesn't have to be implemented until July 1st, 2026. This is an opportunity for the Marion County Public School System to set the standard and let Tallahassee know how we want to run our schools by showing them how we want to run our schools. You have an opportunity to use your transportation department to take the cuffs off of them, design a logistics plan to move your students, and rotate your school times based on getting them to school at the appropriate times. That's one, advantageous for daylight hours and being little kids, or for the bigger ones that need apparently sleep a little more, that finally come to work for me and need a little more motivation. So I would disagree in that respect. I'd like to see the bigger ones at school earlier. Based on proximities of schools, let your transportation department go into proximities of schools on bus routes to run the routes efficiently. That's everything we need to do. You have the talent in your system. Take advantage of it. You've got 2 years before you have to implement this. Don't do a shotgun start. Don't be first. You'll figure it out. You always do. With schools that are combined on the same campuses, if you're going to break one apart and do these run times, you've got a bus loop that runs right through the middle of it. That could cause a safety issue. That's been discussed. Kids crossing what's considered your bus loop at a PE time would not be advantageous for anybody to lose a child or have an individual hurt run over by a 38,000-pound bus. You can keep your staff. That sounds a lot like you can keep your doctor if you like him. Please don't make promises you can't keep. We know things change. We know things are very fluid when you combine assets and allocate them to be the most efficient and used in the best way possible. Downtown. We've got a lot of property downtown that doesn't have a height restriction or a moratorium. It's a very valuable asset. Sell it. Get the money. Use the MTI campus, revamp it, rebuild it, build a monstrous, massive, beautiful administrative building down here that will do wonderful things, that we can consolidate your resources, put everybody kind of sort of in the same hub. Maintenance might be in a different place. Those guys don't actually sit in the front office like y'all do. And we might possibly be able to work together faster being in a conjoined unit. Y'all have to work together a lot every day. You need to be able to bounce ideas off each other very quick. You can't do that on 13 different satellite campuses downtown. You have a massive piece of property right here that can be used. Yes, I know it has a sinkhole. Yes, I know there's one in the back they claim is new, but it's a washout. It was the same sinkhole when I was here in the 90s. It was the same sinkhole that kids used to run into and go to the Cascades in the 70s. It hasn't changed. If that was the case, FedEx wouldn't have built here because they were worried about sinkholes. There's ways around it. This is an opportunity to win. We can defeat it. You can build an infrastructure that's impressive, and we can be what we've always intended to be. Marion County School System has never had that facility that works like that. You've never had an admin building that was something you could be proud of, that people could come to and be a part of. We've done it how we've done it because that's the way we've done it. You've worked with the tools you've been given. Now let's go ahead and get some new tools and really build some things that we can go into. I think that is all of my notes. I appreciate your time and thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming.
Ms. Jennifer Carey?
Is this our last speaker?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening.
Jennifer Carey, C-A-R-E-Y. Good evening. Tonight I come to you as a former educator. I taught elementary, middle, and high school students in Marion County over the last 14 years. And as a parent of 2 elementary-aged children in the school district. I believe that my unique background as an educator gives me a broad perspective, but most importantly, some necessary clarity. I want to discuss the topic of combining 8th Street Elementary and Osceola Middle School in a single educational structure. This concept, while proposed as optimizing acceleration, poses several challenges that deserve our careful consideration. I would like to emphasize that ultimately a decision surrounding this topic should be made in the best interest of children and should ensure students have the same level or better concerning safety and academics. Aside from the academic implications, it's important to consider the safety and logistical side of combining the 2 schools. Paramount is the aspect of safety. A K-8 model means only one principal between pre-kindergarten and 8th grade. So in the event of an emergency, the remaining administrators have more ground to cover and fewer eyes on a potential safety situation. Safety at a school should never be sacrificed, and with the design of each campus, it's hard to imagine that the current level of safety management and how drills or ALICE protocols are handled would be the same or better in a K-8 structure. Combining the schools means that transportation will change dramatically. Instead of 2 car lines that are staggered and relatively short in terms of timing, we are looking at roughly 1,300 students being released all at once on a small city street, thereby blocking neighborhood homes and city streets, side streets, even more than is already the case. The main advantage presented to stakeholders is the potential for acceleration of our 3rd through 5th students. While this may sound advantageous, there are ramifications that come with acceleration for acceleration's sake. Child development experts, Piaget and Erickson, among others, have done vast research explaining that children undergo distinct stages of cognitive and socio-emotional growth as they progress in school. While I am not opposed to challenging our students and or meeting them where they are, it is crucial to make sure that they are ready for this. So having a pulse on student readiness is key. Allowing these schools to be able to closely monitor their own students in their already existing structures will allow each school to continue to do what is best for students. With all that being said, why does the model of a K-8 school need to be considered to accelerate students? Acceleration takes place within both school confines as they currently exist, and the evidence is shown in the state test scores and the school grades for both schools. While neither school is perfect, no school ever is, why are we considering changing something that appears to be working? As we navigate the complexities of educational restructuring, I ask you to consider the insights provided by research and educational organizations. We must carefully consider the implications associated with combining these schools and remember that what we do should be in the best interest of children, regardless of convenience. We should strive for an educational system that addresses the unique needs of each developmental stage, fostering optimal growth and success for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Includes our speakers. Okay, thank you to all of our speakers this evening. Appreciate you taking your time to come out and share your thoughts. Okay, we will move on to our next agenda item, and may I have a motion to approve the 2023-2024 recommended instructional materials for adoption of 9 specified courses. May I have a motion, please?
So move.
Motion by Board Member Cummings. Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Dr. Gullett.
Thank you. Instructional materials are adopted according to a process defined in state statute, and that is 1006.28 and Board Policy 2520. 9 titles for 9 courses are being recommended for adoption this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. I declare a public hearing. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the board on this topic? Seeing none. May I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for mathematics for grade 3 acceleration?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad.
Second.
Second by Board Member Campbell. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for mathematics for grade 4 acceleration?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad, second by Board Member Cummings. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for mathematics for grade 6 acceleration?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member Cummings.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for mathematics for kindergarten social studies?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member Campbell.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And I believe we just passed mathematics for kindergarten. I'm not sure that social studies was supposed to be attached to the end of that item.
It says materials, not mathematics.
Instructional materials for mathematics for kindergarten social studies is what I have.
It just says kindergarten social. Materials for kindergarten social studies.
Okay. That was a typo on here. All right, so
Ms. Brower can, because we have several of them that say that.
I think I can take it from here. These are, Ms. Brower, these are all coming up for social studies? Okay, thank you. Appreciate the clarification. May I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for first grade social studies?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member Cummings.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for second grade social studies?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member Campbell, second by Board Member Cummings. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for third grade social studies?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad,
Second.
second by Board Member James. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for fourth grade social studies?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad,
Second.
second by Board Member Campbell. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And finally, may I have a motion to approve the public hearing for the 2023-2024 adoption of instructional materials for fifth grade social studies?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad, second by Board Member Cummings. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Board. May I have a motion to approve consent agenda items C 11.1 through C 18.1, with the exception of items D 19.1, D 19.2, D 19.3, D 19.4, D 19.5, D 19.6, D 19.7, D 19.8, D 19.9, D 19.10, D 19.11, D 19.12, D 19.13, and D 19.14 that have been placed under discussion. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad, second by Board Member Campbell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Now we're on to discussion. May I have a motion to approve the 2024-2025 school level staffing ratios? May I have a motion?
To approve.
Motion by Board Member James,
Second.
second by Board Member Cummings. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you would like to share regarding this item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Board members, you may recall we had a discussion on this topic on the February 6th work session, and if you have any additional questions, Ms. Morant is available from Human Resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. Now open it up to the board for any comments or discussion. Board Member James?
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to pass on my acknowledgement and appreciation for hearing the concerns that I aired personally during the work session. There's been an addition to the ESE staffing ratios that says students not to exceed the top end of the range, which I think recognizes that in our inclusion classrooms and in our classrooms that are self-contained, we are now not going to exceed the top of the range. And I believe that this is going to protect what's happening on our school campuses and protect our teachers and educators in our classrooms. So I want to say thank you for hearing that and acknowledging that, and board for agreeing to move forward in that direction. And the other just comment I want to make is I understand how tirelessly Ms. Morant, as well as Ms. Boston-Ellis and Ms. Talbert Irving and their respective staffs have worked to come to a place where we have staffing, school-level staffing plans that are going to acknowledge the work that's being done on our campuses and not cut anything from our schools as we try to figure out what to do with the ESSER money, or the lack of ESSER money. And so I just want to publicly acknowledge the work you all have done. I commend it, and I'm thankful for you hearing me as a board member and willingness to engage in constructive conversation about it and come to a place where we're respecting the schools, keeping what you have on your campuses, and they can keep doing the good work, because the data shows that the influx of supports we put in schools in the last 3 years with COVID money has improved our data across the district overall, and I'm proud of the work our schools are doing, and I know that these resources will continue to support their work, and we're going to continue to see improvement. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Board Member James. Vice Chair Conrad.
Thank you, Chair. I too want to thank our teams for listening and taking in. There were quite a few concerns that were brought forward at the work session, but I also want to acknowledge that the challenges that our school face are still severe. And the lack of teachers going into the ESE profession and finding paras to fill those positions is truly a challenge, and especially in our inclusion classrooms where they're sitting at 16, 17, 18 students and getting new students every day, that I just want our staff to know that I support you, I hear you, I see you, and I know that the challenge is there every day. I feel confident. I am also thankful for the statement added at the bottom where we hit the top of the range. But I just hope and ask that our teams continue to be vigilant at monitoring these numbers as our classes approach, especially our inclusion classes, approach that maximum number, that we're making strides to encourage staff and train staff to go into this area in education where we're seeing such a shortage. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Conrad. Board Member Campbell.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the team as well as to fellow board members for the extensive discussion that we had about this during the work session. Grateful for the work and grateful for the addition of the language that we're not going to exceed the top end of the range. But I would be remiss if I also didn't say again what was said in the work session. While I'm fully in support of this school staffing plan as presented, I am also in support of removing the hub option that we have for our ESE department. I believe we need to start providing these services where students are and the schools they're zoned for, rather than having the ESE hubs as our current model stands. But I am in full support of the direction that we're going with this staffing guide today.
Thank you, Board Member Campbell. Yes.
I just wanted to share, in the last work session, the idea or the term for hubs was new to me. And so after further discussion with schools, particularly elementary schools this last week, it really is a challenge. And so although I didn't have a lot of participation in that part of discussion last week. I too would like to see some ideas and new strategies brought forward on how we can meet the needs of our students at their base campuses and also relieve some of the stress our schools that are hubs are facing on a daily basis. So I just wanted to acknowledge that I was removed from that part of the conversation from lack of information, and I do see a need right here in Marion County.
Thank you, Vice Chair Conrad. And for my part, I also want to echo the other board members who shared their gratitude and appreciation for the hard work and the continued effort to do everything that we need to do to provide as much support as we possibly can to each and every school and each and every student and each and every staff member that are there. Knowing that our budget is going to be tight, that means we just have to continually reprioritize and make sure that we are preserving everything that is contributing to our acceleration and our success. So thank you for that. My second comment hopefully is just going to be really easy, and maybe it's just because I'm old, but I noticed on the little footnote where it says note, it's really, really tiny. And it's a pretty important statement because it says, even though the font's really small, it says units may be added or removed, based on need. And I think that that's important to have that be a little bigger because we know that we don't control students coming in, students going out, what type of abilities or needs they have. So that would just be a suggestion. I think that we need to make sure that the schools understand that there's that opportunity so that before they're completely dying, they ask for help. The next thing I wanted to share is definitely more complex. It comes from being involved with ESE since 1997. Need drives placement, not numbers. And while I completely support, in theory, not waiting till we get to the top end of the range to try to do something, that's just common sense. If the IEP says the kid needs to be in a self-contained setting or needs to be in an inclusion, you either need to have an IEP meeting or that kid needs to go where they're legally supposed to be placed. So I just wanted to point that out. As far as the hubs are concerned, there are students, let's acknowledge, that have tremendous needs. No matter what campus they're on, it's going to be very challenging, especially until the kids begin to stabilize and you look for opportunities to include them in areas where they can be quite functional. That is a tremendous and ongoing challenge. And just because more than 50 years ago, thankfully, kids got to be able to be included in public school, doesn't mean that it's been easy. And so I just wanted to point out that because of the geographic size of our district, if you have 2 kids in a unit in Dunellen, well, that's not exactly a big class. And what I've seen over the years is that then those kids get shipped into town. So we have kids that are on buses for 2 hours or more that already have tremendous issues. So then not only are they having issues in the classroom, they're also having issues on the bus. So we can sit up here, quote unquote on high all day and say what we would like to see happen. But the reality is different. And that's only going to change by looking very deeply at our MTSS process. This is tied in with attendance. We hear more and more that because a student hasn't been coming to school or they leave and go to a different school, it's almost like the MTSS process has to start all over again. There's a tremendous delay sometimes in getting services to kids and getting them appropriately placed. So while I appreciate the not exceeding the range, I would even more appreciate the reality of looking very deeply at our MTSS process, doing whatever we can to accelerate that in the right ways, while we as a board continue to really advocate for attendance policy that is strong and that can be backed up so that we can solve some of these systemic issues that have been going on for more than 50 years. So those would be my comments. And I appreciate everyone's passion and expertise and hard work in recognizing the challenges that our schools face on a daily basis and knowing that your school board supports you. So unless there's any further discussion, I believe we might be ready to vote on this one. Okay. All those in favor, say aye for the school level staffing ratios.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the First Amendment with ESS Southeast LLC? Have a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad.
Second.
Second by Board Member Campbell. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you would like to share regarding this item?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This item pertains to our substitute services program, and Ms. Moran is still at the podium, and she's going to provide an update on the progress and particularly to this item, which is an amendment to the original contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett and Chair Thrower. As Dr. Gullett mentioned, this is the First Amendment with ESS Southeast LLC, which is the organization that we've contracted with to provide substitute teacher staffing services for the district. The amendment before you reflects applicable pay for substitutes working at school locations and on an extended bell schedule, as substitutes at these locations work an extra hour. ESS has been a great partner with MCPS since the team started on December 4th, 2023. In all transparency, and as with any major transition and/or change in work, we've encountered a few unanticipated bumps. However, the ESS team, along with teams around the district, have worked diligently to resolve the issues with as little disruption as possible. I would like to just pause and take a quick moment to give a big thank you to our HR team, risk management, finance, sister technology, federal programs, and academics for their past and ongoing hard work and collaboration with this project. January 2024 was the first full month with ESS, and we've seen great success. The overall fill rate for January was 83%, which is an increase from 77%. The ESS team continues to recruit, strategize, visit our schools, participate in their activities, and provide training to our current and new substitutes, and we continue to look forward to a long and rewarding relationship with them.
Thank you, Ms. Morant. Board, any discussion or comments? Yes, go ahead, Vice Chair Conrad.
Ms. Marion, I just have a couple of clarifying questions. So this would really just be for the remainder of this school year?
Correct.
Because next year we're losing the extra hour, correct?
That is correct. So this will be until June 30th, 2024.
Okay. And was back pay a part of that consideration?
Yes, they will get the retro pay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there any further discussion on this particular item? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve new job description for school attendance advocate court liaison? Motion by Board Member Cummings.
Second.
Second by Board Member Campbell. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you would like to share regarding this item?
I do, thank you. So this is a new job description for a school attendance advocate court liaison, is an exchange from a school worker position. I'm sorry, social worker. And so Ms. Del Nodal is going to provide some information about this new position and the job description. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Del Nodal.
Good evening, Board Chair Thrower, Superintendent Dr. Gullett, and board members. I'm excited to be here tonight to speak to our proposed school attendance advocate court liaison position. I know you, the MCPS educators and families, understand the importance of consistent school attendance and the current need to make every effort to improve our attendance rates in the district, across the state, and nationwide. In order to reinforce our commitment to continue improving attendance and meet our Achieve 2026 goal, it was imperative for us to have someone who can dedicate their time and talents to supporting schools and our initiatives. A few key components of this role are serving as our court liaison, serving as a resource to school teams, and helping to lead our attendance council and attendance campaign. As you may know, court hearings are now held on a monthly basis as opposed to the previous quarterly schedule. This process requires time-sensitive documentation and tasks, necessitating a greater commitment of time and attention to the process. We're also looking forward to having someone who can be a resource to school teams. providing information and coaching as needed when schools are analyzing their data, and problem-solving how to address identified needs and barriers. Lastly, community engagement and support are vital. We want to ensure that we continue to have an avenue to listen to our community stakeholders and create opportunities for them to partner with us to address attendance. Our attendance advocate would chair our attendance council and help in the planning and implementation of the yearly attendance campaign. We have a variety of ideas and are excited to have someone that can dedicate time to helping us bring those to life.
Thank you. We'll now open it up to discussion from the board. Is there any comments? Okay, I have a couple things I would like to share. First of all, I applaud this new position. We know how important attendance is. In fact, we have a full district initiative showing up together. That's how all-encompassing it is, and that is the commitment and priority. I have a concern about this job description in the sense of when I compare it to a job description that we just approved as part of the consent agenda, which I know is also a needed position, Coordinator 1 for MTC. As I did a basic compare and contrast, I noticed that the Coordinator 1 MTC position has 15 essential functions listed, and the school attendance advocate court liaison position, which is right now classified as a program specialist, has 28 essential functions. And it doesn't appear to me that the summary matches the essential functions. And what I mean by that is, it's my opinion, and I'm looking for input from the board because I'm about to offer an amendment to elevate this new attendance advocate court liaison position to a Coordinator 1 from a program specialist. I think there's every good reason to do that. I think that this person is being tasked with a tremendous lift. They're going to have to be a super self-starter. I'm very familiar with the wellness, mental health and wellness department. I know you guys do an amazing job as a collaborative group. You support each other. But let's face it, I think everyone sitting in this auditorium will acknowledge we have an attendance problem. And we need leadership and at a higher level, I think. And we want the responsibilities to reflect that broad and foundational expectations that we have. And when I looked at the job description, I'm seeing action words like, develop, educate, plan, chair, provide. To me, that screams leadership. So I would rather not be penny wise and pound foolish on this. I think that we are wasting a tremendous amount of time, money, and resources just trying to get kids to school and regularly and convey to the community how important it is to support education, across the whole community. And we've got great support. But it is, to me, it is a signal from the school board that we are taking this very seriously, that we want this person to have the support, the credibility, and the salary that matches what we are going to be asking them to accomplish. So that's where I am with this. I would love to hear from the rest of the board what they're thinking. Dr. James.
I can get behind that. I have a clarifying question to her clarifying question. Do you see this evolving into a department? Or, because this is a single person? So do you see it becoming, or Dr. Gullett too, something that is larger than a single person?
We don't, and so that was some of our reasoning behind doing it at this level. When we compare what our other coordinators in our department are doing, what they're doing is supervising staff. So they're supervising staff, they're doing performance evaluations, they are leading their divisions in implementing things that are division-wide. So this person has a lot of functions in their job description, but they're not daily tasks. and they're not completed in isolation or independently. They would kind of lead and kind of pull together what we want to do to make sure that we're focusing on attendance initiatives and focusing on what we need to do. However, the implementation of it is still a department collaboration. And so because they're not really working on budgets and contracts, they're not necessarily supervising or doing performance evaluations, then it wasn't comparable to the coordinators that we have in our department.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate the sentiments you've offered, Chair Thrower. I would say that I would tend to agree that it should be a program specialist right now, for the reasons you shared. And if the position evolves into something more, which I could get behind, the chances are it's probably going to evolve into something more. I appreciate the sentiment for now, but I think we have such a heightened focus on attendance, and I could see it becoming something more. And in the time in which it becomes something more, I would fully support a coordinator that would then have supervisory roles over a program specialist or other individuals who would be supporting the work of this leg of the department. But I think for now, I do understand and appreciate the classification as it's brought forth to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. James. Is there any other discussion or comments from the board? Go ahead.
Yes, Chair, thank you. And this may actually require Ms. Morant, but I don't know if it will or not, so just bear with me as I get my question ready. You can just stay seated, Ms. Morant. You don't have to walk all the way up here. So I completely appreciate Chair Thrower's sentiment on what this looks like as far as the job duties and responsibilities. And I would propose, while you're proposing moving it to a coordinator, I actually would counter propose, I suppose, as I'm pulling up the salary schedules. And that's where just looking at a base salary for the district specialized personnel of Tier 69, which is what this is classified as right now, this presented to us, base salary, starting salary would be $65,567. If we moved it to a Coordinator 1, the base salary would be $83,099. But there is a classification of a 70 as opposed to a 69 that is a program specialist, but it doesn't have a number of days that is associated with it. And that classification of 70 is a starting salary of $77,493. So I'm not sure if that 70 is one we're phasing out. Okay, she's nodding. Thank you, that's what I was curious, because that's where I was going. I'm like, okay, can we split the difference here and actually go to a different, but we're phasing out that classification that is just a program specialist specialist without the number of days associated. Okay, then that does not help me because I was going to try to figure out a middle ground. I appreciate both considerations, actually. I understand the justification or the need for putting them at a district level specialized position as opposed to a coordinator position, but I also can respect having that many responsibilities for a brand new position. Having started many brand new positions myself, I understand what that looks like and how it does evolve. To Board Member James' point, it does evolve into something much more, especially if you're a self-starter and you're really taking on the task that is before you. And even with the court liaison position, we haven't quite had what that looks like yet. And I'm sure that that will be a help to us as well. So I definitely could get behind supporting a different salary range that person starts at, but I just don't know where that fits on the salary schedule, so.
Thank you.
So, I'm hearing the conversation, I'm listening to everything that's been said. And in our conversations, when we talked about this staffing plan and all of these other pieces, we also talked about budgetary restraints and constraints. And seeing that this is, I can get behind it if that's necessary. Right now, I don't know if it's necessary. And the reason I say that is because it's a new job description. Currently, we don't have any on that position right now, correct?
Correct.
So it's a position we're going to be advertising.
Correct.
So I would suggest that we err on the side of safety and cautiously proceed by less looking at this position in this year. Let's assess it for this year and then come back. And if need be, then we reassess and do what we need to do. I don't think we need to just jump out there and push it to that point, because I do think it will evolve. I do think there's going to be some additions to it, but I think we need to be able to have some some sensible data on making that decision instead of just making a quick reaction tonight based on what we see as the number of pieces that they're doing in their specific job. So
If
that
I
would
may
be my
clarify, so the court liaison was never a position, it was a role, it was another duty that one of our social workers was doing, and it was a part-time. So they were a part-time social worker, part-time court liaison. So this is new, whereas we want to have one person that's dedicated to doing that as well as supporting our attendance initiatives.
Thank you for that clarification, and I know that we are on the right track, just by introducing this job description and really prioritizing this. As I look at the 28 essential functions, I can't help but think that this person is definitely going to need some help. It is a big beast to tame, and I sit in truancy court, and so I have some background knowledge on what this is going to take. And I wish that it had been a more prioritized position years ago, because we all know where we are with our attendance struggles. So I want to just share that I have concern about not setting this person up for failure, and when you're asking someone to shoulder this big of a load where it seems very, very clear what the lift is going to be, to me, the salary is not commensurate with the responsibility and what we're asking. I do also understand, and thank you for all the great conversation, Ms. Del Nodal, and that there's the opportunity to get some summer contract, and that type of thing, because attendance problems occur all summer. We have so many kids that we wish would come to summer school. The ones that come, a lot of times, aren't the ones that we know really need to be there. So this is a year-round wraparound. I feel like what I'm hearing from the rest of the board is that there's interest, but maybe not now. So I'll accept that, and I'll just make sure I know my comments are on the record. All right. Anything else? Okay. Sounds like we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to D19.4. May I have a motion to approve the grant application Early Childhood Music Education Incentive Program? Motion by Board Member Cummings, second by Vice Chair Conrad. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you would like to share regarding this item?
I do. Thank you, Board. We are very appreciative and grateful for Senator Keith Perry and his dedication to music education, especially in our early grades. You know how important that is for our students. And this is a grant application. Ms. Riedel is going to provide some additional information on this, but very grateful for his support of our students.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Riedel.
Yes, good evening. Good evening. The Early Childhood Music Education Incentive Program was created to assist participating school districts in implementing and supporting comprehensive music education programs for students in kindergarten through grade 2. The grant provides funds to purchase items such as instruments, supplemental curriculum, technology, and professional learning. Participating schools this year include Fordham Early Learning, Ocala Springs Elementary, and Reddick Collier Elementary. Each school's comprehensive music program includes all students at the school enrolled in kindergarten through grade 2, is staffed by a certified music educator, and provides music instruction for at least 30 consecutive minutes, 2 days a week.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Riedel. Is there any discussion or comments from the board? Board Member James?
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge, I love District 5. I live on the north end, and I could not be more proud that Ocala Springs, Reddick Collier, and I've just taken on Fordham. It's not officially under my name on the website yet, but I call it in District 5 because it is. And I'm just grateful that they have this enhanced opportunity and that we're acknowledging their needs and what we can do to support them. So I just wanted to give a little District 5 shout out.
Awesome, and we may have to have a conversation about Florida, because that was evergreen. So I just adopted them. But we love all of our schools, and it doesn't matter the district, and that's the most important thing. Any other comments?
Just a quick
Go ahead,
comment.
Vice Chair.
I too am just very grateful for this opportunity for our select schools. And we started off our meeting talking about literacy and our students reading in the amount of time. And we know there's so much research that correlates between the development of music and how it helps the brain develop, and that correlation with reading. And so I'm just excited to see these two things paired up. And I was excited that this presentation is very well-rounded. You see that there's a technology piece and a training piece, and there's hands-on instruments for the students to use. And to me, that sets students up for success. So, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Board Member Campbell.
Sure, thank you, Chair. I'll just be brief. Super excited about this. I want to first say that I distinctly remember the early education music that I had and the music educator that I had from kindergarten through 6th grade back in the day when that was a thing, and the impact he made on my life. And so just really grateful that Senator Perry has taken on this initiative. As he is terming out this year, this is definitely a part of his legacy. And I'm grateful that Dr. Gullett acknowledged that this is because of Senator Keith Perry and because of his passion for this project, that we were a part of the original group and we're now expanding beyond, and just really grateful that we've been able to take advantage of the passion that he has for this project. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And yes, if anyone gets a chance to get out to Oakcrest and check out their steel drums, that's a pretty amazing thing too. So we really will miss Senator Perry's support with music education. It's definitely a passion of his, and we've certainly been the beneficiaries of that. If there's no more discussion, are we ready to vote? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the grant application 2023-2024 Unified School Improvement Grant, otherwise affectionately known as UNISIG? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad. Second by Board Member James. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you'd like to share regarding this item?
Yes, thank you again, Board. And the school improvement grants are not unfamiliar to this board, but this one is for $1.26 million for eligible schools. Ms. Kiner is going to provide some background specifically to this grant application. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Kiner.
Good evening, Board Chair Thrower, Vice Chair Conrad, Superintendent Dr. Gullett, and board members. The Unified School Improvement Grant funds have been allocated to serve traditional and charter public schools that are implementing a comprehensive support and improvement plan in the 2023-24 school year. Eligibility is based on the 2022 school grade data from the Florida Department of Education. As Dr. Gullett mentioned, the total amount awarded is $1,268,550. The state did give our district and schools permission to begin spending the grant funds earlier this year, and all grant funds must be spent by July 31st, 2024. The grant funds are currently being used to increase positive student outcomes. The schools are using the grant funds to hire additional paraprofessionals to work with identified students, mentoring services, curriculum resources, additional reading intervention materials, resources to support Lego robotics, instructional and non-instructional salaries for planning and collaboration, instructional and non-instructional salaries for after-school tutoring for our students, a tutoring company for our students, and transportation buses for that after-school tutoring. The schools will continue to create robust learning opportunities for their students with the use of the Unified School Improvement Grant funds.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Kiner. Board, is there any discussion or comments? Go ahead, Vice Chair Conrad.
Thank you. I just wanted to share our schools that are receiving the benefit from this. So we have East Marion, we have Lake Weir Middle, Hillcrest, Horizon Academy, Marion Technical Institute, Silver River, McIntosh Area School, and New Leaf Center. So there's a diverse group that are receiving these funds. And I just love the list that Ms. Keinert shared with us. You know, again, it's a well-rounded approach. So planning and tutoring, after-school resources, and support for our teachers and our students. So I'm just really excited about that, and also thankful for the opportunity that these schools have.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other comments or discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the UNICEF grant, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously 5-0. Okay, moving on. Item D 19.6, may I have a motion to approve the grant application Workforce Development Capitalization Incentive Program known as the CAP grant, and it is TAPS number 24B178. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad, second by Board Member Cummings. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you'd like to share regarding this item?
Yes, and Mr. Gary Smallridge is going to come forward and talk about this item. At Board, as you know, we are deeply committed to workforce development leading to industry certifications for our students. And so Mr. Smallridge will provide specifics regarding this opportunity for this grant. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Smallridge.
Hey, good evening, Board Chair Thrower, Vice Chair Conrad, board members, and Dr. Gullett. I'm going to call it the CAP grant. It's a little easier to say, but the CAP grant was shared with us not too long ago, the directors of the technical colleges, and basically it is $100 million that Governor DeSantis set aside for 912 CTE, like secondary programs, post-secondary programs like MTC offers, and state colleges. So when we heard about it, made a lot of sense for us to write a proposal. And it worked a little differently than a normal grant. They wanted us to write a concept proposal, which I believe you have, and we had to pitch basically our plan, and the only real rules was that we had to make sure that it was dual enrollment qualified. So we had to have the programs opened up for dual enrollment students, and since we're heavily into dual enrollment now at MTC, this all made sense for us. You guys have been to MTC, you know the West Bay, big open area. We do a lot of trainings in there. People use it for trainings. We haven't really been utilizing that space. It has huge ceilings, probably higher than this ceiling where I'm standing right now. And so we wrote a concept proposal to build that space out and to do a remodel grant. And we would build a wall down the middle, build 2 brand new classrooms with big windows so you could see from the classroom out into the lab areas, and one side would be for our dual enrollment welding program, and the other side would be for our brand new program that we started with HVAC. We started that program as a night program, very successful, so we pitched that we wanted to make it a day program and then open it up for a day full-time program and then even nighttime. And we just have to bring dual enrolled students into that, which is easy for me to get on board with. So we pitched that, asked for $1.39 million, and that was in working with Robert Knight's team, working with my program specialist. They got all the equipment quotes for us in a really big hurry. We pitched that and we got it approved. So we're past actually the proposal stage. They've actually awarded it since we got on the board agenda. So we got the award letter, and we should start pretty soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Smallridge. That is very exciting news. Is there any comments or discussion from the board? Go ahead, Board Member Campbell.
The only comment I'll make is thank you. Mr. Smallridge, the foresight and the just enthusiasm for what's happening at Marion Technical College. I know you haven't even been there very long, but with an appropriation request coming your way from last year and hopefully another one coming this year and now another remodel happening on that campus, we are committed absolutely wholeheartedly to career technical education. And I know later this evening we'll be talking about even more capital dollars that we need in other schools, but we have creatively found out how we can make this happen in Marion Technical College. So just thank you.
And the best part about it is that we're doubling seats for the dual enrolled students. That was part of the requirement, and it was easy to write. So
Awesome.
A lot of changes coming to MTC, guys. Stay tuned. Keep watching our website, and hopefully that next appropriation request comes through.
Absolutely. Thank you. Is there any more comment or discussion from the board? Okay, we're excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We are ready to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. We will move on to item D 19.6. May I have a motion? Oops, just did that one. All right.
Get too excited.
D 19.7, may I have a motion to approve amendment number 2 to the construction manager contract, guaranteed maximum price for early site work and materials procurement related to construction of new elementary school X, which is project number 24-102. May I have a motion, please?
So move.
Moved by Board Member Cummings. Second by Board Member Campbell. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you'd like to share regarding this item?
Thank you, Board. As you know, we've been bringing forward these items for the new construction under discussion each time, and this is just the second phase of that project, a large dollar amount. And of course, for the new elementary school, Ms. Dobbins is available if you have any specific questions regarding this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. Is there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to D 19.8, may I have a motion to approve the contract between owner and construction manager for construction services related to construction of a 16-classroom wing addition at Liberty Middle School, which is project 24-103. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member Campbell, second by Vice Chair Conrad. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you'd like to share regarding this item?
Yes, thank you again. So this proposes for your consideration, it's the second highest ranked company because the one that we tried to negotiate with was the top ranked. We were unable to negotiate. So the proposal is to move to the second highest ranking from the facilities department. Again, Ms. Dobbins can answer specific questions. And the description is under the rationale and methodology for why we went with the second highest.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any comments or discussion from the board? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously 5-0. Moving on to D 19.9, may I have a motion to approve the replacement of the gymnasium roof at Dunellen Middle School, project number 24-117. May I have a motion? Motion by Board Member Cummings. Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you'd like to share regarding this item?
Yes, thank you. So the Dunellen Middle School roof is 30 years old and in desperate need of replacement. So Ms. Dobbins is going to provide a presentation on this item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Ms.
evening,
Dobbins.
Chair Thrower, Board Members, Superintendent Dr. Gullett. Following our January 25th work session where we went in depth on our aging facilities, this is a perfect example of our aging facilities. So the gymnasium at Dunellen Middle School was built in 1948, making it 76 years old. As you recall, we used ESSER $3 to air condition our gyms at the middle school level. And as we are air conditioning that gym, it also needs the roof replacement, which is 10 years past the time it needed to be replaced, and it makes no sense to add an HVAC for it to leak out through the insufficient roofing on that building. It is for $343,000 at a capital outlay, which was approved earlier this year.
Thank you, Ms. Dobbins. Board, is there any comment or discussion like to raise? Okay. I'm glad we're able to replace the roof and maintain a 1948 gym. That's, anyone that's ever been out there, it's a pretty cool building. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously 5-0. Moving on to D 19.10, may I have a motion to approve the replacement of Technical Services Building Phase 2, remaining construction, project number 23-129. This is the building that very sadly burned down. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad.
Second.
Second by Board Member Campbell. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you'd like to share regarding this item?
I think you covered it, Chair. I mean, simply the technical services building burned down and we have to replace it. So we are asking for your approval to do that. Thank you.
It is what it is. Thank you. Any discussion from the board? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously 5-0. All right, moving on to item D 19.11. May I have a motion to approve the proposed amended ordinance related to impact fees, amending the Code of Marion County, Florida, Chapter 10 et al. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad, second by Board Member Cummings. Is there any discussion from this board or comments at this time? Go ahead.
Sure. Chair, my only thought, and I was trying to get to the right page because we had an uploaded document today. I believe it's page 8 is where the multifamily categories begin. My only comment to the board is potentially to at least add either SF for square footage or SQFT, something like that, because right now it lists multifamily apartment 1 to 700, and then 701 to 900. And I don't want any ambiguity in this whatsoever as to what that means. And so that's my recommendation. I don't know if Attorney Powers wants to comment on that or not, but
If you'll look at the items that we've put, because when the board directed us to put this on the next available meeting, of course, that takes a lot of back and forth between a lot of different staff and from both us and the county. So just uploaded today was some final proposed edits from Mr. Minter, and I know that Mr. Hurley has also met with the technical working group staff in order to get together some of the edits. We actually, as late as today, have been working on and putting some of these into here. None of them are substantive edits, however, they are as the one that was just pointed out, ones which could have some bearing or impact and someone might want changed. So what you have in front of you there with that final one is a redlined document, which does indicate some last-minute final changes as well. Now, what I would propose is that I have to put this in final form. I have to, turn off red lines and put it in final form for acceptance. What I would propose is that the board delegate authority to the board chair, working with legal, to make any scrivener's error type edits or any edits of that nature, square footage. I would define them as non-substantive changes to the ordinance prior to submission to the commission. These would be ones that would affect the acceptance or execution more so than the intent. So edits for clarity, essentially. So if the board votes to accept this, and there should be another minor change as of this exact type that we're talking about here on the red line documents, that I would have the freedom to be able to do that so that we don't have to reconvene a special board meeting in order to get everybody together to fix a stray wording error, or one that is late. It's a late comer that is suggested by a staff member from the county or from our department.
Somebody sees something. Yeah.
Right.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Provided that the board grants that discretion for non-substantive changes to be made at the discretion of the board chair, as recommended by legal, then we'll move forward from there and submit this back to Mr. Minter, incorporating the changes that he has also recommended. And
good?
Mr. Hurley, he has reviewed.
Okay. Yep. Got full consensus?
Yes.
All right. Sounds great. Any other discussion? Yes, Board Member James.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the work that's gone into this. I told Attorney Powers when the meeting started, I feel like since I took office, this has been a topic of conversation, and the board before us had started the work, and we came into it, and it seems like we have been working on this for the last 15 months. But I want to take just a brief moment to acknowledge the people in our community as well as within our organization who have supported this work. So I want to thank Kevin Shealy for his support in this and representing the CEP and the business community and the impact it will have in our community. I want to thank David Tillman, the president of MCBIA, and his representation for the Builders Association in Marion County. Kristen Dreyer and the entire city council, Councilwoman Dreyer has been very active in this conversation, and I want to acknowledge her representation of the city and the city's public conversation recently on this matter to move forward. Commissioner Michelle Stone and the entire county commission for, again, being willing to hear our concerns and help us move forward. And finally, Last but certainly not least, by any means, is our staff. David Hurley, Ms. Debeck, Ms. Dobbins, all of their respective departments, how tirelessly they have worked to get all of the data, work with all of the different parties, and get to today. There were moments in this journey I wasn't sure we were going to make it, and I feel really grateful that as a community and as a team we have worked together to get here. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge everyone's work, and if I missed off saying someone, I acknowledge you too, whoever that is, because it's taken a team effort, and I'm grateful to be here, and I'm excited to move forward and vote on this item tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member James. Vice Chair
Just real
Conrad.
quick, I don't believe I can say it any better than Dr. James has said it, but we both joined the board at the same time, and it has been an ongoing conversation, and there have been many highs and many lows in trying to get to this point where we are tonight. And so I too just want to acknowledge that many community members, city council members, county commissioners, there's been just so much conversation and so much give and take, and so I too am excited to be here in this position this evening in hopes of moving forward. So thank you to everyone involved.
Thank you, Vice Chair Conrad. Board Member Campbell.
Sure, just echoing the things my fellow board members have said. Certainly, I believe our first intergovernmental meeting, Chair Thrower, in more than a dozen years occurred in 2021. So we've been along for this ride for a while, and it seemed like we would never get here. But yet here we are on February 13th, 2024, and as soon as Board Member Cummings sits down, I'm ready to call the vote.
Let's vote.
All right, great. Yes, thank you. That was a great segue because Board Member Cummings and I have been part of this since we took office in 2018, and realizing that in trying to come back from the Great Recession where we got so devastated in this community, trying to figure out the timing of when it would be right to begin to reopen the conversation on impact fees. And I am very grateful for all of the legwork and hard work that's gone into this, because I know that future boards will not likely ever be in this position again. School board, city council, county commission, you know, we have a good group in place now. We have our technical working group. We have our interlocal agreement updated. There's just been a ton of work that has gone into getting us to where we are today, and that is very well positioning future boards for future success and just, you know, much faster collaboration and turnaround for the benefit of our whole community, which includes our school district. So I am ready to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. All right. Woo-hoo. I know.
Can we just take a moment and pause again?
All right, moving on to item D, 19.12. May I have a motion to approve the proposed resolution of the 1/2 cent surtax?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad.
Second.
Second by Board Member James. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Dr. James.
Again, I just want to say that this has been happening in the community for a while. The conversation's been happening. And again, I just want to give thanks to Reggie Boudier and Kevin Shealy for bringing forward this proposal to us as a board and doing the legwork to poll and figure out how we could proceed as a board. And Ms. Dobbins' department for very clearly painting the picture for the needs that we have in our community for our deferred maintenance and aging facilities, and how this sales tax will be used to support our schools and our infrastructure. So I really do look forward to having the CEP lead us through this journey to November, and pray that our community moves forward in a direction that's going to support our schools and infrastructure.
Thank you, Board Member James. Any other comments, discussion? Board Member Campbell?
My only comment, and echoing what Dr. James has said there, but I also want to give a shout out and a thank you, especially to the legal department and also to our 2 employees who did the translation on this, because that was done quickly and in short order, and there was a lot thrown. When we think of the things that have been happening in legal just in the last week to 2 weeks, there's a lot there, policies and impact fees and sales tax, there's just a lot. So I just wanted to say thank you to Attorney Powers and to your team in legal, which is only 2 other people, and all the work that has gone in, as well as to the employees who worked on the translation, because I don't think I realized just how much needed to be done as quickly as we needed it to be done. So just grateful that we're here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Campbell, and yes, globally, thank you. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously, 5-0.
And as with the last item, you will see on your sheet there, or on the agenda, that there was an email even today from Mr. Minter with a couple of suggestions, wording suggestions. And I'm going to be meeting with Mr. Boudier, who I believe was in the audience earlier, if he's not now, in order to, and with Mr. Shealy, in order to make sure that those, if they need to be slightly altered, those would not be substantive changes, but they would be changes that may affect the interpretation. So I might have to go back and get a new translation and do it again. So those factors, if, just as with the last item, if they're non-substantive changes for clarity or to correct scrivener's errors, I would again ask that the board chair be granted the authority by the board in order to sign off on those changes so that we can get this on, because with this item, we are on a timeline for OPAGA in order to be able to get this in 180 days before the ballot. So I wouldn't want to have to call another special board meeting for a minor and non-substantive change.
Most definitely. I think you have a consensus.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Powers. All right. So, any more discussion? We're good? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We already voted. Jeez. Let's vote again. It was so much fun the first time. Okay. Let's move on. May I have a motion to approve the school stop times for the 2024-2025 school year?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Conrad.
Second.
Second by Board Member James. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you'd like to share regarding this item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as a reminder, we discussed this on the February 6th work session. So if you have any additional questions, Ms. Dobbins is available. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Board, we'll open it up to discussion, comments.
I just have a few comments.
Go ahead, Vice Chair.
There's been a lot of communication, email, phone calls. This is a big item for a lot of families and a lot of students. And I just wanted to share that the decision is not taken lightly, but my job as a board member is to make sure that we meet the needs of all of our students. And so this conversation has been happening for 10 or 12 months. We've been struggling as a district to get our students, all of our students, to school on time. And at this time, we have 16% of our students that are missing first period classes. We have 32,000 miles to cover every day to get our students to class. And so I just share those facts with you to know that the decision is not taken lightly. This board member is making a decision that will positively affect our students and their education and our job to get them to school so they can receive their education. And so I just wanted to review some of those things we shared at the work session because the concerns are not taken lightly, but we have a job to do.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Board Member James?
Okay, I want to just make a brief statement. I think that it has far been time for Marion County to get to a triple-tiered route system for transportation and school start times. I know that change is uncomfortable, and it can be challenging to think about how we will approach this, but I do believe that the time has come. I want to just make a point of clarification. I didn't receive a single complaint from a high school parent, or teacher. So while 54% of high school population is going to be significantly impacted, significantly being more than 30 minutes, I received not a single complaint from a high school. So if we were to remove the high school students from the change, because again, they did not complain, only 8% of our student population is negatively impacted. 8%. 1.7% of elementary students with a 40-minute change, specifically at 8th Street, and 11.8% of students total between elementary and middle school. So 8% of our district is not a large enough percentage to make a change that is not representative of what every student needs to be successful. So I'm going to absolutely support moving forward with the times that were proposed because that is what's best for our district as a whole. And I will continue to be a board member that problem solves and comes up with strategies and finds solutions, as I have always been and will continue to be, to help meet any pain points that parents are experiencing. And I will be a fierce advocate for expanding MAP and creating ways to help fund MAP for families that don't have access to it and find a solution. But I'm never going to not make an uncomfortable and hard decision because it inconveniences and is uncomfortable for some. If the majority are going to benefit from a decision, that is our job as a board. So that is all I have.
Thank you, Board Member James. Board Member Campbell.
Sure, thank you, Chair. So I will not be in support of this, and I think that I expressed all the reasons in the work session for some of the same reasons that we had a speaker this evening express, in part because there wasn't a board member a part of this committee. We have not seen what all the formulas look like, and I believe there still are alternative pathways that we could have chosen. While I agree that a 3-tiered busing model is the direction that the school district needs to go, I believe there are still other ways that it could be done. To the point that we haven't heard from high school students and/or families, I would say it's because they aren't really aware of what's happening, because this has happened so quickly. And I'll liken it to just being in Tallahassee with a group that I happen to run into of high school students. And I mentioned to them, how's your start time? They happen to be from Bellevue High School. And they were like, oh, no, it's not a big deal because Bellevue High School just had a start time change for this school year. And when I said, oh, no, not right now, you'll be going to school at 8:30 next year, their eyes all got really big. And they were students who were advocating in Tallahassee for their program and their school. People aren't aware this is happening, and it's happening so quickly. There are teachers that are concerned, specifically from a couple of these middle schools, and there are families that aren't even aware it's happening. And specifically the impacts that it's making to District 1 schools, I absolutely cannot be in support of this evening. I understand the challenges we're experiencing, but what we're about to vote on is an impact to 45,000 plus students. And while we have late buses, absolutely, about 2,800 students max that are impacted by a decision we're making that impacts 45,000. And I cannot be in support of that tonight.
Thank you, Board Member Campbell. Vice Chair Conrad.
While I hear you, Board Member Campbell, I disagree that this conversation has just started. This conversation about transportation has been happening since the moment I stepped on as a board member. We have faced transportation challenges since before I became a board member. And the transportation department has been here for almost every single work session, presenting and problem solving ideas on how to get our students to school on time. And we still have 16% of our students missing their first period courses. I personally believe this 3-tier system is something we have to try, because we have tried everything else that has been brought before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Board Member Cummings.
Madam Chair, thank you. This has been a situation that did not just pop up overnight. The system has been broke for a while. We know that. It's been broken for a while. And we've thrown so many different things at it. We've tried different strategies or whatever you want to call them. We've tried different things. And since I've been on the board, this is probably the one that's been the most comprehensive as far as trying to go forward with the path. When we have the number of students being late to school or missing a period of class, and then we say we expect schools to do better and we expect the grades to get better, we're sending double messages. So I'm in favor of moving forward with this. I think this is an opportunity for us to try to work. Is it perfect? No. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Are there going to be people that's going to be upset? Of course. But we have to make decisions that's going to affect the greater masses. And we have to make decisions that are tough. And there's going to be some folk that's going to be upset. Change is never easy. However, we won't know unless we do implement the change. So I think we have to move forward because we cannot continue to go down the same road that we've been going down these past few years and expecting something different to happen. If we don't, nothing beats a failure but a try. So I'm in favor of us moving forward with this. And I know there's going to be folk that's going to write us. They're going to send emails. They'll even call. But we have to make the best decision because one of the things that we say is where every student succeeds, not just some students, not just some districts, not just some neighborhoods, but every student. And I think this may be a plan where every student in our district can succeed.
Thank you, Board Member Cummings. Board Member Campbell.
Thank you. I want to say that I do not disagree that transportation issues have been a challenge ever since I became a board member, and sure, long before that as well. The entire state and the entire nation is having significant challenges with transportation, and I do not deny that point. My point is this solution came up 2 weeks ago, and I believe that we haven't had the proper time to vet it. But what I also want to say that is happening tonight, if in fact this is approved, we also have 8 of our 10 middle schools going to a 7-period day in the drop of a hat with one quick change that perhaps those families aren't aware of. We also have a high school that's going to a 7-period day. Understood? I understand the justifications of all of that. But both of those massive, significant changes to significant numbers of families in our district are occurring with one swift vote. Those communities are not aware that these changes are coming. So I guess it's good that we're having it in February because we have the next 5 to 6 months to prepare them for what's coming. I understand that Marion after-school programs potentially will be a solution for some, especially in before care for middle schools. But the cost prohibitive nature of that, as well as the space for that, continues to be a challenge and will be a challenge, specifically for, I know, the parents I've heard from directly in District 1, and I just cannot support this tonight. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there any more comment or discussion from the board? Okay. I'll just briefly share that we have tasked transportation over and over and over again with coming up with strategies, potential solutions, hiring outside drivers, reorganizing routes, all kinds of appreciation for our transportation team to try to get them to stay. We have training. Lots of training. We've beefed up our code of student conduct because if a kid can't sit on the bus and behave, I don't care if you're 3 to a seat. You're not asking that much. And riding the bus is a privilege, and it makes it even harder on kids when those buses are late, and then you have problems at the bus stop. So to me, I like to look to the people that are in the trenches and that are tasked with solving the problems by department. This is what they are proposing, and you hit the nail on the head, Board Member Campbell, that we all as parents have 5 to 6 months, to get this figured out. And I remember those days, with my kids at 3 different schools. None of them went to their base high school. was crazy. And you look back sometimes and think, with both two parents working and everything else, how did you manage to get it done? Well, we carpooled, we did a hub bus, not to be confused with the other hubs. We did hub stops. We availed ourselves of lots of different things, to get it done for our kids. So this is when it is tough, because you're never going to receive 100% approval. And no matter what you do, somebody's going to be affected. But I'm ready to vote, and those are my comments. I hear everyone else, and I really appreciate all of the feedback that we got from our community, and I hope the community at least feels like they were heard. We were able to make some adjustments with schools that don't use busing at all, so there was really no point in disrupting those families just because. So we're going to continue to be a board that problem solves, works together, acknowledges issues, and moves forward. So with that being said, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item D19.14. May I have a motion to approve the board clerk reporting structure?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member Campbell.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Is there any discussion from the board? Go ahead, Board Member James.
Hi. I'm wondering, there's no attachment, so I'm just wondering what we're approving, because there's no attachment to this item. So in my brain, I thought we were going to see either the org chart, or we were going to see what Ms. Morant typically attaches, and I'm not blaming Ms. Morant, but what is typically attached to an HR item, which is like a +1, a -1. For any HR item, there's an attachment that indicates the shift in the staffing, the district staffing plan. And there's nothing attached here. So I am very confused about, aside from how I feel about this, there's nothing attached. There's nothing to vote on. I'm just very confused about what we're doing with this particular. I think it needs to get brought back with the appropriate attachments at a later meeting. I just don't think it has the direction for what we're doing.
Madam Chair, I'm in agreement there. I don't know what we're voting on. I see what the topic is, but there's nothing here that's any clarity other than the topic. I know we kind of had some discussion in a work session, but this isn't anything to vote on tonight, what I see.
Well, if I remember correctly, there has been times before, and I don't remember the specifics, but the organizational chart usually does follow our discussion. I know that previously, when we request the organizational chart, it usually follows or comes after we have the discussion. At least that's my experience, and my experience is limited, as I'm a newly board member. And so I think maybe there needs to be some clarification on that process. And another question that I have is the organizational chart a legal document, or it is a guide for us to use within our staff?
The organizational chart's created by the superintendent's office. The organizational chart under the board divides off into really two offshoots. One is legal department and the other is superintendent.
But is it a legal binding document? Are we legally bound by what is on this document?
Org chart. I believe, I'm sorry.
Let's let him answer.
Go ahead. It's not the org chart.
The org chart represents the sum of prior district staffing plans and what the superintendent has laid out for the roles under her department. And I would have to defer to the superintendent to tell you, as far as being a binding document, the board really doesn't interfere with the superintendent's choices within her organization chart of whom she puts where. Because that's the board's, that's the superintendent's decision, just as it would be my decision under my authority for my two employees, but that really doesn't matter much. So because they're two employees. I can swap them on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the same thing. But, so the board really, I won't say the board lacks authority, but it's that is the role of the superintendent to identify under her organizational chart where those employees would lie. So I would say that that's probably the better question for HR and for the superintendent. Is it a legally binding document? I just don't think it's a document that the board really has much authority over.
Well, and that's kind of my point. It seems
However-
really it is a tool to provide guidance on,
Well, however, maybe this will clarify. The organizational chart isn't really relevant to this discussion because of the fact that the question that has to be answered. Now, what would have to happen is if you wanted to keep the current reporting structure of the board clerk under the board directly, then you would do nothing. My suggestion would be that in order to justify that, it should have been adopted with a contract, not just a job description, but the board opted not to do that. So that would be my direction for the future that I would indicate that you should do. However, the item for tonight, what's voted on, and whether we put everyone through the work of doing a structure under the organizational chart and whether we have HR create plus ones and minus ones and everything else, really needs to just be, the question for tonight needs to be a decision of, does the board want to retain their current structure? I'm getting down to what I'm thinking like ballot language now. Does the board wish to retain the current structure, or does the board wish for the reporting structure to go under the superintendent? If under operations. So if the board's decision is that they want that to return to an operations reporting position, then the organizational chart is within the purview of the superintendent to decide where on that organizational chart that role lands.
Thank you.
And I'll accept if there's anything that, the superintendent or Ms. Morant or anybody else want to add to that, but that's my understanding.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Thank you for the clarification, because according to my understanding, and we've talked about this several times, including the last work session, so there's no surprise to any school board member that this was going to be on here. And to me, the question is very simple. Is this position going to remain under the school board or be moved back under operations? To me, it's very simple, and I'm ready to vote, but.
I'm not done talking. Thank you, Chair, and I too am ready to vote with just the quick comment to say, it's not the organizational chart we're discussing. This board did approve last summer the district staffing plan that has the board clerk reporting directly to the board as opposed to reporting as a part of the superintendent's operational staff. That is, I guess, a legally binding something we voted on and approved. So that is the district staffing plan, similar to what we just approved this evening as a school staffing plan. So it's not the org chart that we deal with, it's the staffing plan. And we approve the staffing plan as is. And so I agree with Chair Thrower that it's an up or down vote, whether we want to change it and actually have the district staffing plan change so that this position then reports back to the superintendent to put in her organizational chart wherever she sees fit, or if this position will report to the board and subsequently to the board chair as the job description currently says.
Chair, if I can, though, should there not then be an amendment, just like there is for item 17.1, Amendment 2324 District Staffing Plan - Board Clerk? Should there not then be an amendment to the district staffing plan? Because to Chair Campbell's, or Board Member Campbell's point, yes, it is not the org chart. The org chart is not a votable item. It's the item that we look at that shows where the organization falls. But what we vote on is the staffing plan. And then when we amend the staffing plan, like we did tonight in the consent agenda, there is an amendment attached to an HR item that Ms. Morant uploads. So if we are amending the district staffing plan tonight, I'm confused why there's not an amendment to the staffing plan attached to this item. And I still have that same level of confusion because I don't know how that we're going to move forward with amending a staffing plan with no item attached to the item.
Go ahead, Attorney Powers.
Wouldn't it simply be that there is a +1 in one column and a -1 in the other column?
If it's that simple, then why does Ms. Morant upload an amendment every time for the consent agenda?
Well, because this would be the same position and the same employee, in this case, just being the reporting structure of to whom they report, would it be to the board or to operations? So that's not a, that's not really going to affect any of the numbers except for whom that person's supervisor is. Is it the board chair or is it the operations? And if it's operations, then the further delineation of the organizational chart becomes an item for the superintendent. So it's a zero-sum.
They're always generally, because we are
No,
not,
we add-
our cup does not runneth over with money. They are all generally net zero. So, I mean, I'm looking at the two we approved tonight. We're getting rid of a social worker and adding a school attendance advocate court liaison. And we are getting rid of a bookkeeper and adding an account clerk. Funding source is the same. So,
Right, this is the same position. It's not deleting one position and adding a different position. It's the same position. That position has, when it was adopted by the board, as opposed to having been previously sat with operations, there was a new job description was put into place, and that new job description would have to be developed if it's intended to be developed. But the question is, would operations need to develop a new staffing plan, a new job description? Does legal need to develop a new contract? Or do you want to make the decision as to whether whether that position is going to report to the board or the superintendent, and then do what it needs to make that happen?
but when a position moves from one department to another, and Ms. Morant can correct me if I'm wrong, there is a header above each department. So for tonight, it was exceptional student education, and the two positions that were being interchanged are under that same department. But in other times, in other instances, when a position is moving from one part of our organization to another, there is a header that says -1 in one department, +1 in another department. And the absence of having that document and that amendment attached to this item does not make it clear what is happening. It is not clear. It's clear to us, but it's not clear to anyone else.
Thank you, Dr. James. Board Member Cummings.
One of the things I remember in the conversation, when we were having this conversation, was who this person would report to, whether it be the board or someone under the superintendent's cabinet or authority, whatever. And one of the things I heard is that that we kind of wanted, there were folk that wanted to be a direct report to the superintendent. The superintendent especially shared with us that that would not necessarily be her job function. And she would not, her schedule does not allow that. I don't think all that stuff is cleared up in this. I still think those are still areas that we need clarity on. I don't know why this is being pushed so hard tonight. I think we need to seriously get the things that Dr. James was just talking about, that one, how it's going to line up under the chart, and then we need to move forward from there.
Thank you, Board Member Cummings. Did you have something?
I just a quick comment. I felt like we had moved this forward really to provide some protection for our board clerk, as we talked about the evaluation piece and the piece of coverage when she's out. And so I'm not in a hurry. I don't mind if we bring this back the next time and provide the documents that Dr. James and Reverend Cummings are more comfortable with. I'm totally okay with that compromise. But I do, if I remember correctly, the conversation came about because we were looking at protecting her in this position. And so that's important to me as a board member.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Go ahead.
Sure. Chair, thank you. So when I look at this item as a discussion item in our school board meeting, the effect of action and results is provide clarity as to the reporting structure of the board clerk role. If we vote that up or down as a discussion item in our agenda this evening, then subsequently we would receive the documents that have been requested with a salary schedule change, with a proposed job description, if that in fact is warranted, with a proposed contract, if that is a direction that the board wants to go moving forward in the current arrangement that we're in. But as I look to vote on an item that is in our board agenda that we approved earlier whenever we said that we would, basically having a vote on discussion item 19.14, it is to say that we are providing clarity to the reporting structure of the board clerk. I am prepared to vote tonight on what that clarity is, if I am voting to keep it the way it is or move it to the superintendent. And I don't believe that requires knowledge of the organizational chart. I don't believe that requires the document to show that I need to see a +1 in one column and a -1 in the other, because it is the same position. The job duties will not change with the exception of reporting to the chair or reporting to the superintendent or her staff. And that's really the only change in the job description. So with that, I would call the question on discussion item 19.14.
Thank you, Board Member Campbell. Is there a is there a second on calling the question
Calling the question, yeah.
and moving this to a vote?
Right.
Right? We need a second. Can the chair second it?
Yes.
Pass the gavel to the vice chair.
A second. Now we have to vote, right? To go ahead and vote.
Right.
What's the motion?
Okay. Calling the question after each board member has had an opportunity to speak, the proper way is not to call the question, even though that's typically the way it's done in practice. That's not what Robert's rules typically allow for. So what you would actually do is call for a vote, get a second, and then move forward. Now, in that situation, however, if you can't get two people to agree to call it for a vote, then it dies at that phase. So I'm hearing some still lack of clarity, so perhaps the board wants, I've only spoken just to my understanding of what things are here. I try to stay within my lane. If the board wants to hear any further commentary from anyone from operations, I don't want to put them on the spot, but that the board may address that. Otherwise, the board's understanding, I believe the board can interpret for itself, would be that there might be some lack of clarity as to what the item is there for and what the board wishes to see. If that's the case, I would suggest that the board state for operations what they would like to see on this item for the future if it were to be brought back at a future time. So I think that they would need clarity if they're going to bring, if we're asking Ms. Morant to bring things onto this item. I didn't place anything additional on this item, but I noted where my prior contract that I had prepared was in prior board docs. But it really requires that the board express, at least initially, what its interest is. That could and generally should be developed by consensus of the board. If there is not consensus of the board, then it has to go to a vote of the board. So if you fail to have, you have a motion and a second on the item. The question now is simply, do we end discussion? So as of right now, discussion has not been ended. So at this point, if there is no further discussion, then we move to a vote. There's not a need to call the question.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. I will offer that we all knew what we were going to be voting on tonight. It was very simple. There has been discussion, and all we're voting on tonight is whether to move the position from under the school board, where it's been for a few months, to back under operations. That's the only thing we're asking. As far as the rest of it, that's not what we're voting on tonight. So I would like to make sure that, whatever happens with this vote, well, if it ends up going back under operations as the current chair, until anything comes back before us that needs to come back before us, that the superintendent under operations would put before us as far as where that position's going to be, who it's going to be under. If that's my understanding, it's the superintendent's purview, not ours. But I am fully prepared to continue working under the current structure until those decisions are made. I want things to remain going forward smoothly and seamless. So that was my understanding, that we all knew what we were going to be voting on tonight, and it's either keep the position under the school board as it's been for the last few months, or move it back under operations. It's pretty simple. And we do have a motion and a second, so I think it's time to vote.
Madam Chair, just one question for clarity. So the motion says to approve the board clerk reporting structure.
Right.
So it doesn't identify one way or another.
It doesn't say.
So because when the vote comes through, that's exactly how it will read in the minutes. So it's just going to say 5 yay, nay, whatever. It's going to say those exact words. Is that how we want that? Or do you want that amended to say reporting back to operations or reporting to the board?
It's binary, so you would pick one and say, somebody would move to change the reporting structure or maintain the reporting structure.
That's what we've been saying the whole time.
If it fails, or if
it doesn't say one way or the other. It just says for clarity, for reporting instruction. It doesn't say for it to go to the superintendent, and it doesn't say to stay on the, it's vague. It's nothing there. So what are we voting on?
So Chair, can we ask Ms. Martinez who was the motion in the second to see if we could amend the motion on whoever made the motion?
So the motion was made by Allison Campbell, and the second was Ms. Conrad. That was the original motion.
Okay.
Off of this.
So Attorney, you can help me make sure that I do this correctly. I would like to amend the motion, and I would make a motion that the board clerk's role report to operations and the superintendent, and that's my motion.
And now you would need a second as amended.
I will second.
Okay, so we now have amended motion on the floor. We have a second. So do we need to go back and vote on the first?
Vote on the amended motion.
We'll vote on the amended motion. Okay, so we will be now voting on the amended motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. The motion, sorry, I was just echoing what you said. The motion passes 3 votes to 2 with Board Member Cummings and Board Member James dissenting. Okay. All right, we will move on now to board committee reports and concerns. We'll start with a few meeting reminders. The first one is the next administrative briefing and work session has been scheduled for February 20th, 2024. And the following administrative briefing and work session has been scheduled for February 22nd, 2024. We'll go ahead and move on to committee reports, concerns, and comments. Anything from legal tonight?
Nothing from legal, thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Ms. Martinez?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Dr. Gullett?
Thank you. I do. Just a couple of items. Board, as you are well aware, February is Magnet Schools Month. We have a lot of activities going on celebrating all the ways that we are supporting student success through our Magnet programs. And it is Black History Month, a lot of events celebrating Black History Month. So please be on the lookout for those weekly updates and additional items in our community. I also want to just take a moment to thank everyone. Board, I'll start with you for your support of approving our ordinance tonight and a resolution for impact fees and sales tax. It has been a long time, as was stated, and I can't count the number of hours, excuse me, that I've spent with the team. Thank you all for all the work we spent. Sometimes it's been 7 days a week around this, and I want to thank the community. It's been a lot of conversations with our community members, even to the point of them bringing forward proposed language. And so a lot of work today to approving this item, but it's been a long time coming, and I appreciate the board recognizing the need, and I appreciate the team's work and the community recognizing the need, and I do believe that we have community support for what we're trying to do for our students. But just want to say thank you, because I've pressed and asked a lot of my team on this process, and so just really proud to get to this point, to do what is often probably the hardest thing that we do is asking of others and giving financially and otherwise to do what we need to do, as I shared last week, not just for our current students, employees, and our community, but for the future. And I believe that we've done that tonight. So I want to thank everybody for that, and thank you, board.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. And we'll move on to our student board members. Student board member, Ms. Nandur, do you have anything for us tonight?
No, just thank you for having me again, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move on now to board member Barnes.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say again, as Davia said, thank you for having me. Excuse me. I would like to comment on agenda topic D19.4, the music grant application. As a student in a high school band program, I find it extremely inspiring that you all are incorporating music into schools at such a young age, as I know I personally drew a lot of inspiration from my experiences with music education in elementary school. And I'm very glad to know that we are expanding opportunities for our young students to learn and grow musically. I do have one topic to bring to the table tonight. Board members, I am sure you understand the importance of an internet connection for school. Students, administration, and teachers make great use of the utilities provided by the school board and the school system, and we are extremely grateful for this access. It lets us do a lot of things that we would not be able to do. However, in recent weeks, there's been a significant increase in the number of blocked websites and images within Forest and other schools as well. I've heard a lot of agreement among a few of my peers in other schools of the same thing has happened with them. To my knowledge, Heimler's history, certain college board videos, and most of the educational videos on YouTube are all blocked as of right now, as are other websites crucial to lesson plans and student learning. These websites are all invaluable resources that students and teachers alike use to assist their curriculum. This restriction of content is keeping students from being able to study and research. It keeps teachers from implementing their lesson plans, and it limits the overall functionality of the internet within a learning environment. Many images are also blocked, which further decreases the functionality of co-curricular resources. Many AP classes use a program called Albert.io, which relies heavily on images to assist students with test preparation. However, those who do not have internet access at home are not able to accurately complete these assignments and others like them, as most of the images that such research requires are all blocked. I just want to bring this issue to the attention of you all in the hopes of resolving it, as it impairs the functionality of our classroom environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Board Member Barnes, and I see Dr. Gullett's been taking notes.
Mr. Benvenuti.
And Mr.
And
Benvenuti
Mr. Benvenuti is out here too. He's over technology, so your comments came to at the right time because the right people are here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll just continue. Board Member Campbell.
Sure, and thank you for those comments for sure. From the YouTube perspective, it's possible that it's on the user side or on the developer side. If they're not choosing when they're uploading it that it's for children, then it's probably they're causing the blockage. But I see Mr. Benvenuti shaking his head. So it's possible that we need to work with College Board or whomever to ensure that they're uploading videos correctly so that students can have access to them. And I know that there certainly are some laws recently that have stipulated certain content that we actually are able to have in school systems. But I'm certain Mr. Benvenuti will have an update for us on that whenever we have additional information. But thank you so much for that. I think that the number of resources that media specialists now have to review prior to them being used as educational resources in classrooms has grown exponentially, and perhaps there'll be some legislative changes to the law that is currently in place from last session to help that in general. I just wanted to say thank you for all the work that this board has put in. This has been a lot that we've had on the agenda this evening, and frankly, we're going to potentially be finishing up with this meeting a lot earlier than I anticipated. So just want to appreciate all of the community engagement that has occurred. I know the volume of emails received over multiple items that we discussed tonight and those that will continue to be in discussion has been vast and more so than we've seen in recent weeks, but I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the engagement. I'm grateful for folks coming to a school board member because that's why we're here. That's why we were elected, and that's why we were chosen by this community to represent parents and this community. And so I, as a parent, will be grateful to be a part of the meeting tomorrow evening, or no, Thursday evening, sorry, it's like zooming past. Thursday evening for the Osceola and 8th Street SAC meeting. That decision will be made at the school level. And so I know we had some passionate speakers this evening about that decision. It will be happening at the school level. And so in that SAC meeting, following that SAC meeting, there will be a survey that goes out and the decision will be made from that point on. So while I appreciate the exposure and the passionate support of the topic this evening to the school board will not have the final say on that, is my understanding. So just for clarity for those watching at home, I was not able to participate in the Wyoming Park conversation that occurred last week because I was in Tallahassee representing the school board, so I was grateful to be there for Marion County Day and participating as a school board member. I want to say a shout out and thank you to Mr. Davis from Public Relations and Communications Manager, who was there with our table intent and representing Marion County Public Schools, and just a great time to be there with other government officials throughout the county and other businesses, just supporting what I believe should be called Ocala Marion County Day, so that we can have even greater representation of what all the great things are that are happening in Ocala and Marion County. And just the things happening in our schools. I know I had the opportunity to pop by Ocala Springs the other night with just wonderful things happening there with their kind of STEM night, math and science night, and then came over here to the Big Springs STEM fair, or the awards ceremony, and there's just a lot of great things. Our calendars are very full right now. I know there's things popping on our calendar. I also want to give a thank you to all the principals who are sending us those requests, putting something on our calendar, and if we can come, we're going to come. And so, but sometimes we don't know about your events unless you put them on our calendar and ask us to come. So thank you so much to all the principals who are doing that and trying to engage the school board members in the work. And finally, I just want to say that as a parent of Marion County athletes, I'm also grateful for the work that our coaches, both volunteer and paid, do with our students and our student athletes every day. There's a lot of work that goes into being a mentor and being a significant positive impact in students' lives. And our coaches in many, many sports are unsung heroes in this district. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the coaches that are working so hard with our student athletes. My own children are benefiting from it, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Campbell. Board Member James.
Thank you. Again, we're going to reiterate, I'm grateful for the work that staff has done tirelessly. They continue to do tirelessly. We have a lot of initiatives all at once, and everyone is working so hard to do what's best for every student in Marion County, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you, as well as our community members who were here tonight to support voting on a sales tax as well as an impact fee ordinance, and just are generally supportive of the work that we're doing in Marion County Public Schools. I have a question about Thursday's meeting. Is there going to be an opportunity for a Zoom? I know a lot of schools do have Zoom options for SAC meetings. I know that at my child's school that's available. Are we aware of whether there'll be a Zoom option for Thursday night? Thursday night's community meeting for Osceola?
SAC meeting.
Board Member James, I'm not sure. That would have to be answered by Ms. Riedel or Ms. Kynard. One of them can come forward. Thank you.
We did that for Waimea, didn't we?
Mm.
Yeah,
There was a Zoom for Waimea.
yeah. Hopefully we have the technology.
Good evening. Right, I hesitate to say that, but Ms. Riedel and I and the team will certainly work with the technology team and Mr. Benvenuti to make sure that we have that option
Getting big nods
available.
back there behind you, so.
Okay,
From
and
Mr.
then-
Benvenuti.
If that link could be emailed out to the families by Thursday morning at the absolute latest, so that those families are aware of the way they can participate if they're not able to come in person, that would be appreciated. I know that I've seen conversation online from both 8th Street and Osceola families regarding being able to participate for whatever reason they're unavailable to come in person and would like the opportunity to have a Zoom link available so they can at least type questions and be able to participate in a discussion.
I certainly think that makes sense. So,
Yes, and I just want to reiterate that we can certainly send it to a parent's email. It does get sent through Skylert, and it works through Skyward. So as long as the parent has the email listed in their Skyward, then
Yes, of course,
that's how
yeah.
they would get it. Yes, we
Yes,
can make that happen.
of course, it would go through Skylert, so if you don't have your stuff in Skyward, then you're not going to get the email, but, yes, ma'am.
Dr. James, while you're there, I have a question right there. So you say they would have access to Zoom and to ask questions, and the reason I ask that because, and I've shared this before, last week at Waimea, there was an opportunity to ask questions through Zoom or chat. So is that going to happen at 8th Street and Osceola?
You're saying there was or there was not?
There was
Yeah,
not.
I couldn't hear that part either, sorry.
There was not.
Okay. So I can describe to you how we as the team have thought through Thursday night. The people that are there in the audience, certainly we will do the presentation. We are going to have index cards and pens on every chair in the auditorium. Again, that would look a little different virtually, but we have the chat rooms available on Teams that they can write them in. Anyone that wants to can write their question down. Members from our team will be there collecting the questions as some of us are presenting the presentation that evening. And that way, if there are 10 of the same question, and so forth, they will be able to group the questions, and then we will read the questions and respond to the questions that evening after our presentation part.
Questions would be responded to that night.
That was our intention, yes.
But an individual could write in the comment section of a Zoom or a Teams, whichever the platform is, and similarly to the notepads, their questions could also be collected via the chat and then collected and or answered collectively.
Yes, as I'm planning on the spot for that virtual piece, I believe that someone would man that from the team, someone else would man that part so that we can make sure that we're doing that as well.
And I don't, let me say this, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot by asking that question, but those were concerns that came back to me after last week at Waimea. I shared that with Mr. Frazier, because if we have a meeting and we don't give folk the opportunity to ask the question and get a response at that time, people walk away out that meeting with a bigger question mark on their forehead.
And
so they need to have the opportunity to get the question.
I mean, no hate, but I am trying to believe people put them on the mark, because we're having a community meeting in less than 48 hours, and these are questions the community is asking about how they can participate. And I can't speak to the lack of it for Waimea Park. That wasn't brought forward to me, or I probably would have put people on the spot then, but I didn't hear those, and so I couldn't advocate for that, and I apologize to that community for that. But I am putting it on the spot because there's no other time to have this discussion before Thursday, because this is a incredibly rushed whole situation. So,
And Dr. James, since Reverend Cummings interrupted you, I'm going to do that really quick as well. Ms. Kynard, could you also speak to the FAQ sheet that is available? Because I know that was not sent out to parents as a parent in one of those schools. I believe staff, and it's been posted on the website, but there are 9 questions that the team has already answered that perhaps folks may be coming to the meeting with those questions. So if they just review that document additionally, that might help clear up some confusion. If maybe you could tell us where we can find it.
Yes, absolutely, thank you. We did put together a document, an FAQ document, frequently asked questions, of some of the questions we were getting from staff, from parents, from both school communities at 8th Street and Osceola Middle, and we did respond to those questions. We put the document, we posted it on our district website, as well as each of the schools' webpage, their home webpage. We also emailed it to the principals to email out to their staff. And certainly, we can use the Skylert messaging system to get it out to the parents ahead of the meeting. We can do that first thing tomorrow morning, and again, that would be accessible to any parents' emails that they have linked on there as well. And then to the point of the questions at the community meeting on Thursday night, that was always our plan, was to allow for questions, because that is part of our timeline and process. Just as we've done in past community meetings that I've been involved with here in Marion County, where we've had emotionally charged meetings, we always ask the people to write the questions down so that we can group them, so that we can not hear the same question 10 times, to use time wisely, but we will be able to answer questions on that evening.
So, thank you for sharing. I just have some clarifying questions, and I guess you could call this naive of me. But I do believe that this board would vote on a change to a start time if Osceola and 8th Street became a K-8 school. Is that correct? Maybe Dr. Gullett, could you provide, or Attorney Powers? If the staff and families agree to move forward, this board would have to vote on the start time. Is that correct?
That's correct. It would come back as an amendment to what you approved.
Furthermore, this board would have to vote on a change to the name.
That is correct.
Okay,
Any
so
naming of schools
to clarify, the board will vote on this decision. This is not just a community decision. The community will provide feedback and guide the work of staff, and staff will bring proposals to the board, but the board will vote on this item, because we will have to vote on the name, and we will have to vote on the change to the start time. So I just wanted to provide that point of clarification, because this is going to be a board votable item, unless I'm mistaken.
You're right.
Okay.
Those two pieces will be, yes. But the actual choice to make it a K-8 will not be a board decision.
But it won't be a K-8 if we don't approve a change of start time and a name. If we don't have a name, we don't have a K-8. If we don't agree on a name and vote on a name, we don't have a K-8.
Dr. Gullett?
So you have two items. The first is the transportation. You approved a proposal tonight for that. You have two separate schools. If the schools became one, we would go through the process of submitting that to the state for their approval, because remember, we have an MSID number associated with the facility. So that would be part of the process. We would have to do that from the operational standpoint. The board would have to look at proposed changes, perhaps, to transportation. I'm not saying that they are definite, but that would be a consideration to say, if it is one school, would we want to look at different bus transportation times or the same, right? One is not causal to the other, but it's a consideration. The name change, as we'll do with other future buildings, would come through community input, and they will be proposed to the board and brought publicly to the board. So yes to both of your items.
I just wanted to provide that point of clarification to the community. Other than that, I feel like it has been a robust evening, and we still have more conversation after this. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member James. And while you were on the topic, I'd like to get some clarification, because my understanding is that as a superintendent, you bring agenda items, and then the board decides to adopt the agenda, and then we have our meeting. If based on the results of the meeting, the community meetings, and all of the input, am I clear in understanding that then you may or may not, with your team, choose to bring it to the board for a vote?
That's correct.
Okay.
And as you said earlier, Chair,
We're talking about naming schools and start time. We haven't even said we're going to do local
local input, if the staff, community, parents choose not to move forward, I will not be bringing a recommendation to the board.
Thank you.
That
I
is
really
for
needed that.
the local community to decide. As we've said before, the board's not making that decision. I'm not saying that we're making that decision. If the local community wants that, then that recommendation would come to the board.
Okay, thank you. All right, Board Member Cummings.
You know the other student, right?
No, we did both.
We did both. Yes, Ms. Divya didn't have too much to share tonight.
I was like skipping her.
She was quick.
Okay.
But thank you, because it takes a village and a board.
It has been an extremely robust night of an agenda. We've heard a lot of things. We heard from our community concerning school start times and the merger of two schools, two historical schools in our county. We've heard about the impact fees and the sales tax. I want to commend our team for how they pushed to make sure that the impact fee and the sales tax information was on this agenda. We've worked on that for a very, very long time, very, very long time. So it's great to finally see it coming to some type of a headway going somewhere. So I'm very pleased with that. Last week I had the opportunity to attend the community meeting for Wyoming Park concerning it being a pilot school for year-round school. I was very dismayed in being at that meeting. One, for several reasons, and I'm not. This is not a surprise to people that were there that I talked to. I was dismayed by it lasted 17 minutes. It was very short for it to be a community meeting. 17 minutes. There wasn't an opportunity for the community to ask questions and get a response. There was an opportunity for them to write down a question, but they did not get the response. And there wasn't an opportunity for that community, those that attended on Zoom, to get their response because the Zoom cut off. In totality, there was about 57 people that was in attendance with this meeting. When I say 57, that was 20 on Zoom. 2 of those were staff, 2 of those were district staff members, so I will say 18, and there were about 37 in the building. My concern, and I shared this concern when we were briefed on this, my concern was how was this going to be pushed out to the community for them to know about this meeting, that there are ways to get people to a meeting, and that if we did not properly advertise this, that we would have poor attendance at a meeting that's going to affect a large group of people. In a school that has the number of students that Wyoming Park has, and to have only 50 people, 50 parents, 50 people input, that's not good. I shared that we could have done some other things, and I will hope that in the future, going forward, that we will make every effort to make sure that in situations like that, that those communities are properly advised. I think sometimes we think that everybody has the same access to the same things. Everybody does not have access to digital, to the internet. Everybody doesn't have access to Skype. They may have access to the cyber, but they don't use it because phone numbers have changed. Different things have, and we have to do our due diligence to make sure that we've done those things to close the gap, to make sure that we get the proper input on that. That is a huge decision that's going to be coming, that has been made, and we attributed it to, we gave them 17 minutes. So that, I cannot get away from being dismayed about that. I cannot get away from the comments that were given to me after that meeting. And I think we did ourselves a disservice to that community by not addressing some of those issues on that night. I'm grateful to hear that right across the road we're gonna have a community meeting for 8th Street and Osceola, and we're doing it different. Just the way that it was being done for 8th Street and Osceola, it should have been done for that same community over there. There shouldn't be any difference. The game plan should not be any different. Whatever the playbook is for A Street, Osceola, it should have been the same playbook for Wyoming Park. It should be the same playbook for Dunellen. It should be the same playbook for East Marion. So we have to do things right. If we don't do it right, we're gonna catch it. Y'all can put any word in there you want to put in there, but that's what's gonna happen. So I'm addressing that now so that it will not happen again, because there are things that we could have put. There's 3 huge apartment complexes in that community, and this is nothing. Again, I've shared this with some people. We could have went to every one of those apartment complexes and put a sign at the entrance of those apartment complexes. We have the ability to have put a bus at each one of those apartment complexes and transported the folk there and back. That's making sure that we made sure the message got out. We cannot just assume that everybody has the same resources. And I say this at my church all the time. Just because I'm doing good doesn't mean everybody else is doing good. Just because I have certain things doesn't mean everybody else have the same things. So we can't keep putting everybody in the same box. When we know that school has issues, is struggling. So we say we want every student to succeed, then we need to make sure that they're succeeding, and we have to use the same playbooks around the county. I'm through with that one. Because I'm supposed to be escorting my wife in something tonight, so that's why she's already texted me and said we ain't gonna make it. But anyway, this is more important. We have a great district. We have great people working within our district. We have to show the people in our district that we appreciate them and support them on all levels. And I'll say this, I believe in supporting staff when you can. I don't believe in supporting staff when they're wrong. And so I say that as a general statement to the whole district. Whatever you do, just make sure we're doing it right, that we document things the right way, that we bring it forward the right way. And when it's done the right way, you've covered all bases. You've taken things where we don't have to worry about legal because you've done it the right way. We follow procedures. So I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that to everyone. So please don't put us in a position where it looks like we're against staff when we're not against staff. We're all on the same team. It should be us on the same team with the staff, with the parent on the same team with the parents, and we're all working to get the same outcome out of these kids. Positive student outcomes. That's what we're supposed to be looking for. Closing. Black History Month. I sound like a preacher now, don't I? It's Black History Month. I'm grateful for all the activities that I've been seeing and hearing, and all the invitations to the different Black History programs. Some of us were at North Marion a couple weeks ago. It was really an awesome event for their Black History. I think they started, it was the first day.
Yeah, it was.
First day. They had an awesome event out there, and there are others that have invited us, and I encourage us to go to those that we can make. I'm not going to make every one of them. It's impossible to make every one of them, but I knew that do know that we want to try and make those that we can. Fessenden has a huge one coming up this weekend. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make that one. I'll be out of state. However, I encourage our community to go and understand the significance of what they're celebrating. Black history is American history. It's all of our history. We encounter it every day. Every time we go through a traffic light, we encounter Black history. Every time we use an ironing board, every time we turn on the air conditioning, we're encountering Black history. So I don't want it to just be minimized. I celebrate Black history every time I look in the mirror. Every time I look at one of my kids, I tell them that you're Black history. So I'm encouraging that. I'm encouraging we're going to have one at Fessenden for us, and then we have a big one that the county puts on at Howard Academy in a few weeks. So I know Ms. Randolph would be remiss if I did not say, please get your tickets to go to the gala on the 23rd, and we look forward to having a wonderful event. That's it.
Thank you, Board Member Cummings. Vice Chair Conrad.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to start with a general statement. When I joined the board, my vision was to see the district and the staff and the community come together for the betterment of our students and their education. And over the last year, there's been a lot of different presentations, a lot of different people come forward, and I just wanted to commend, there's only a few of you left, the 8th Street staff in the way that you presented today, that you showed up. You didn't have 97 people share your message, and as a board member, I appreciate that. But you had key people, parents, teachers, guidance counselors, different people representing and sharing what's important to you about your school. And I just wish there was more of that. And so if you will please take that back to your staff and to your families and share with them how much, as a board member, I appreciate that. I want to know how you feel and what's important to you and the things that you want to keep and that you admire about your school. And so I just wanted to say thank you. I'm glad you hung up till the very end. It's been a long meeting, but you did it really well, in my opinion. So thank you so much. So I wanted to share that to start. Just real quick, I don't want to do a review of our meeting, but there were just so many wonderful things that were shared at the beginning of our meeting tonight. And the youth fair is near and dear to my heart. Our family is big supporters of the youth fair. And if you have the opportunity, if you've not visited the youth fair before, there really and truly is something for every single person. And I was just so tickled that one of the presenters tonight talked about tractor driving, and there's speech, and there's cooking, and there's sewing, and, you know, showing your pigs and showing the cattle, and dog agility. I can't even think of all the things. It really is just such an amazing program that our kids and our staff members are able to participate in. And so I know that my children, they're adults now, but if you ask them about some of their favorite school memories, it always includes their time at the fair. So just encourage you to come out and participate if you have a little bit of time. There's always a lot of good food there too. Also, I was really amazed with some of the students presented this evening. With our STEM studies, I had to ask them when I went down to take the picture because I wanted to make sure that I heard them correctly. A 3.9 grade point average in accelerated classes. And so that's just really unbelievable. So proud of the work that they're doing. Again, just want to thank our teams for all the things really that crossed the finish line for us this evening. With our impact fees and our sales tax, just a long time coming and a lot of conversation that was presented. And I wanted to reiterate what I believe Board Member Campbell shared. There are so many events that go on in our community, and as board members, we don't know unless someone lets us know. And so recently we have received quite a few invitations for things that are going on in your school. So I just encourage you to please keep those coming. We're here to support you and lift you up in the work that you're doing every day. And so just looking forward to tomorrow, Valentine's Day. As a former elementary school teacher, that's a big day. Teachers got to eat your Wheaties tonight because their kids are going to be hyped up tomorrow. But anyway, just thank you to everyone in the work that they're doing and looking forward to moving forward.
Thank you, Vice Chair Conrad. And yes, invite us to everything and we'll come to as much as we can because we're thrilled to be able to be back at a place where we can have all these events, after everything having to do with COVID and just having to be so structured on just keeping schools open. So it's really wonderful. I don't know if there's more events now than there were before or just that there weren't any for so long, but it really is great and we appreciate each and every invitation. And tonight I was just reminded of the depth and breadth of our school system when it comes to our kids and how amazing they are. I mean, we have kids that are 4.9 unweighted GPA or 3.9 unweighted GPA, all this. And then, we have kids that know plenty about what a bush hog and a stump jumper is. And I don't think that there's anything that is any more or less important in that because we're offering opportunities, up, down, and all around. There is a place for each and every child in Marion County Public Schools, and everyone is working so hard to just help make every student succeed. And it's not easy a lot of the times, but it is so, so worth it. So the energy is there, the momentum is there, and we're just going to keep rolling, and while being mindful of our communication, because we do have a lot going on. And we want to make sure that we're getting the messaging out in ways that the parents are receiving it. And it doesn't help if your phone number's changing every 5 days and it's not, and we don't even know what it is, and a teacher can't even reach you. So let's make sure that not only is the school district doing their part, to use the communication tools that parents respond to, as much text as possible. That's what we do. The Skylark messaging, putting signs up at places, whatever it takes, and continuing our outreach, and really expecting that in-reach comes back to us. That is the partnership, and that's what's going to continue to make our district more and more successful. It's just very interesting being a school board member. I was reflecting on what we approved tonight, and we approved everything from an impact fee ordinance to a sheep enclosure for Maplewood Elementary School. So, there you have it, never a dull moment. I think I will just close with being continuously grateful for the opportunities that we have as a board to do what we're doing, and everyone that is sitting up here together, and also for everyone in the community that just helps make it happen. It truly is a partnership, and it continues to be an honor and pleasure to serve on the Marion County School Board. So with that, we do need to move on to student disciplinary matters, and before addressing expulsion matters, I wish to acknowledge that board members have received the alternative placement list for students through January 10th, 2024. Ms. Martinez, are there any parents who have submitted a timely request to speak on their child's disciplinary matter?
We have 3 off air, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. So we'll continue with that shortly. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 24-129E, JD 24-132, JD 24-133, JD 24-137, JD 24-139E, JD 24-1. Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member Campbell.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Conrad. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0. Moving on to agenda item 22.2, may I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 24-151, JD 24-152, JD 24-154, JD 24-155, JD 24-157, with educational services for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year and the first, second, and third quarter of the 2024-2025 school year. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member James, second by Board Member Campbell. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 24-156 with educational services for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year and the first quarter of the 2024-2025 school year? Motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Board Member James.
Second.
Second by Board Member Campbell. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. It's always distressing to end a mostly very uplifting school board meeting with expulsions of so many students. We are committed to providing a safe and orderly learning environment, but it continues to be very distressing to me personally to see kids get themselves into trouble like this and have to be out of our school system and away from all the opportunities that we showcased tonight. All right, I will now call the meeting into recess at 8:51 p.m. Thank you.